Before sunrise, they were going to hit the Seanchan again. He intended to make them run to pull that bloody stopper for him.
Flee for your lives! That is right. What's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
And this is the Nerdy Wordy Book Club. This is a show where my wife and I sit down every week to discuss the kink of spanking. And also, there's a book involved.
There is also a book involved.
Sometimes.
Sure, but,
okay, but it's mostly the spanking.
It's mostly spanking. And you know what? Hey, Robert Jordan's a kinky man.
Do you remember when we first started the show?
Oh, I should give everybody a warning. Big red flag warning here, guys. If you're here because you don't actually want to watch the show, you just want to talk shit, we're about to be really woke. So you might want to plug your ears or avert your eyes. Just in case. That's your only warning.
My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
And when we started the show over a year ago.
Over a year
ago, we had so many people who came into our chat and were like, I can't believe you guys talk about sex so much in the Wheel of Time. And I can't believe you talk so adult about this fantasy series. This series is not sexual. It's not adult. This series is...
Smut corner?
People were so upset. Yeah. And now that I've read the books, I'm like, what fucking books were those idiots reading? Like, legitimately? The people who are like, I can't believe they swear in their Wheel of Time. What fucking series did they read that they thought that we were going too far? Do you know what I mean? Like, it is so hilarious to me that... And obviously those people all fucking left because they're all prudes and they could never survive in the real world. But the idea that this series is PG is one of the dumbest fucking concepts that chat has ever brought up in any live stream I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, this is like the smuttiest, darkest, like...
There's, at this point, there are more consent issues in this book than there are characters, and there are a lot of fucking characters. So, like, the idea that at any point we were being too adult for this series, it's just, I want to go back and talk to those people and be like, what? Maybe they had only read The Eye of the World.
It's like what Chad says. It's like people who get upset that Star Trek got political. And you're like, my dude, honey, sweetie, baby. Like,
it's so funny. Pillow Friends is a great example. Like, people are like, there's no gay people in the Wheel of Time. And I'm like, these bitches be gay.
We love our bi representation as well. But, it is, it's been an interesting journey. That is for certain. Before we get into, like, the actual book, I had a question for chat specifically. And there's like...
Wait. Let's stop 1 second. Ashandru says you equate lack of consent with sex. Ashandru, put two and two together. That's not what we said.
Come on. You've been here... If you've been in more than one of our streams...
that is the grossest false equivalency. I am saying that the books have a level of adult conversation in them that is further than the adult conversation we were having during book 1. And that the idea that the books could be allowed to talk about things as adult and difficult to talk about as that, but that we should keep our streams PG was very silly. If you can't understand those two concepts, book club might be too much for you. Wow, I'm being spicy to start this morning, but like, don't be like, you think lack of consent. I'm not advocating for rape. If you've watched the show, you know how I feel about the way these series handles rape.
Yeah. You guys already know. I have a question for chat. I've been thinking about how many characters are in this series.
2,700 and...
something along
whatever.
Those lines. Right. Is it weirder that there's not a single person who has the same name as another person? Or is it weird? Would it have been weird if Robert Jordan had people with the same names?
No, it's so much weirder that everyone has a unique name, but that none of the names are actually unique. It's just that in the world of this world... every single person spells their name differently, even though they're all just named Sean.
Well, maybe, yeah.
Every character in this series is named Sean, it's just spelled differently.
Every character is Sean.
But, I mean, like, at this point, they're either Sean or Anaya. Or Anaya. Or Anaraya. Or, like, it's all, like, the fucking... Like, there should be at least 2 Rands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They should meet Rand Al Jamanson, and they should be like, oh my god, your name's Rand too? But there's not even another Matt.
Like, I don't even know if I know 2,000 people and at least 8 of them are named Sarah. You know what I mean?
The reason I go by nerdy...
Because we always meet another David.
It's because there's so many fucking Davids in the world.
I
was on a hockey team when I was a child where there were 6 Davids. We fielded our opening ice, right? 3 forwards, 2 defensemen, and my ass in net. We fielded 6 Davids to start every game because we were the best 6 players on the freaking team. I mean, I was the only goalie, so I didn't have any competition. But the other 5 Davids were very good.
Father Jerusalem, thank you. Welcome back to the nerd table. Time to use my membership milestone to talk about something very relevant to the conversation. Hashtag butts.
Hashtag butts.
We do love the good booty.
I just want, Mike LLL says there was only one Ken. Remember him.
That's true. It's just one of those things where, like, the farther that I get into these books, I'm like, every single person has a unique name, but there are also so many people that, like, would I find it confusing if there were, like, 2 Toms? You know what I mean? Like,
no, because that's how the real world is.
Yeah.
There are 4 famous Chris's. I know who they all are. I'm not like, oh my god, which Chris are we talking about? There's the good one, the hot one, the sexy one, and the bad one.
There's also several Ryans out there, you know?
No, there's only one Ryan.
Yeah. Gotcha.
There's only one.
My bad.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna ask chat. I'm gonna ask chat if they think that if it's strange that no one has, like, duplicate names, which I feel like is a very fantasy thing, or if they're like, no, I'm so glad that there's no duplicate names because it's so hard to fucking keep track of everybody.
Here's the thing. I think that this isn't usually a problem because in most books, the author doesn't have a sadistic need to name every character no matter how unimportant they are to the story. Right? Like, most authors write, a woman came up and handed him a piece of paper, and then that woman left the room, and our main character read the piece of paper. And Robert Jordan writes, the tent flap opened. A swirl of green satin entered the room. Rand realized
embroidery around the hem of the dress was in intricate flower patterns.
Her slim waistline allowed her average-sized bosom to appear massive by scale. As her breasts boobily boobed into the room, Rand realized that her face was a face he had never seen before. She introduced herself as Sean, and Rand remembered that her name was slightly different from Sean, and also Sean.
There's so many Seans.
As she left, the scent of her fear and anger hit Perrin's nose, and he realized that woman was 7,000 years old and had been brought back by the wheel of time.
Rand and Perrin are not together. This is fake. You fucked up. You ruined it.
They will be together again someday.
God, I really hope so.
Someday out there, our characters will meet.
God, yeah. Mm-hmm. They met. They know each other. They just haven't seen each other in...
Franklin Cheatham says, I like the descending third Sean. He's a bop. Blue, thank you for gifting those memberships.
Blue, thank you so freaking much. You are incredible, as always. Y'all enjoyed those memberships. Drop some nargs. Drop some nargs in this chat.
The wee yodel of time.
This chat. The wee yodel. Well done. That was great.
Oh my god.
That was fantastic. Thank you, Blue.
How does my Sean sound? I want to song around this shit. Sean! That's you, Vera.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's gorgeous.
The first name's kind of like a donkey noise, like Sean, but the last name, it's Sean Vieira.
Wow.
Gently Bell, the Cadsuane sucks shirt is back. I finally have a reason to wear it again, because Cadsuane sucks. She is the most one-dimensional character I've ever read in my entire life. This is a woman who has... This is a woman who has exactly one way of interacting with every situation, to the point where every time a character mentions her and she isn't in the room, every character in the room goes, yeah, that woman sucks.
I mean,
and this is supposed to be our diplomat.
You here's the thing. You say she's the most one-dimensional character and she only does one thing, but we know that every Aes Sedai only has one method of approach to every problem.
Oh, no, 100%. Cadsuane is just the epitome of them. Cadsuane is all of the Aes Sedai at their worst.
I don't agree with that.
That's fine.
I do not
You're wrong,
agree with you
but
there.
You can disagree with me. Is there any housekeeping? Oh, y'all, we have a Star Wars Celebration panel. I didn't throw that image. If you go up to there's going to be a poster for it that goes up later today on our socials.
Twitter.
If you're going to Star Wars Celebration, we're going to be there the whole weekend, but our panel is the first day. Start your Star Wars Celebration off right with a book club, Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. in room 14, the HoloNet news stage. The Nerdy Wordy Book Club will be covering Star Wars Jedi Battle Scars by our IRL friend, Sam Meggs.
Yes.
Yeah, how cool freaking is that?
She's the best.
Come talk about bisexual love in the Star Wars universe with two bisexual idiots who are in love.
Aww. I love you too.
Yeah.
But I think you're wrong about Cadsuane.
In what way? No, I'm actually curious. Like, what is the second thing that you've seen from her? Like, I feel like we've gotten this one version of her. Mm-hmm. It kind of goes back to our Erwin discussion that we're having in Attack on Titan, and the chat and people who watch our videos will see next week. I think that season 3 finally showed us another side of Erwin, and I got really excited to see that other side of him. That video will go up on Thursday, but like. I'm like legitimately waiting to see another side of Cadsuane, and I just feel like I'm not.
Here's the thing about Cadsuane. I don't think she's one-dimensional. I think she is a character who has one ultimate goal and will stop at absolutely nothing to make sure that it's achieved, which is actually very similar to most of our other characters.
I disagree with that. I think she will stop at almost any... She stops at every possible step to get what she wants achieved, and she only tries one tactic. I think that an actual character who is willing to do anything to achieve something is willing to humble themselves.
But that's
and Cadsuane is not.
But that's the difference that we saw between Cadsuane and Moiraine. And I think that Cadsuane is the perfect juxtaposition to it, right? All the Aes Sedai fucking suck, and they have one method to get what they want. And Cadsuane, I agree. Like, definitely not my favorite character. I don't have that, like, hate for her. But she definitely is... like the epitome of that side of the Aes Sedai in certain ways, but I think that it's a perfect comparison to Moiraine and how Moiraine was willing to humble herself and literally like pledge herself to Rand just so that he would trust her enough because she had her like main goal in mind.
I think my problem is with the way that you're using definitions then. Because I think that I would describe Moiraine as a character willing to do anything to accomplish her goal.
Yeah.
I would not ascribe that same quality to Cadsuane. Mm-hmm. I think that Moiraine is the example of what you're saying. Mm-hmm. And I think Cadsuane is the opposite in a way that is not beneficial to Cadsuane's goals. I think Cadsuane is so set on treating every situation the same way.
Cadsuane has had success doing one thing for 300 years. But that one thing is
kidnapping. To this character is she's a diplomat by being a villain. In any other part of her life, Cadsuane is a outsider who goes into a country with a goal that benefits her institution. She's the CIA, right? Like, she literally like causes instability in a country, kidnaps their leader and tortures them into doing what she wants, and then reinstalls them on the throne. She's not a good person. Right? And she doesn't change ever. She just keeps meeting the situation exactly as she wants it to be. And everyone in the room is going, fuck her. I don't want to deal with her. And then Rand looks at Min and Min goes, sorry, my visions say you have to. And so he has to.
Yeah,
but
I get that.
Cadsuane has not put herself in a position where anybody wants her around. And I think that is the opposite of Moiraine. Moiraine was such a good character because Moiraine was different to everybody. Moiraine was kind to Egwene. And like sheltered Egwene and gave her...
Moiraine has tact, which is why she's a blue.
And she was a great character.
Yeah.
And like, I miss having a character in scenes who would like approach a situation with any sort of like, oh, hey, maybe I need to approach the situation differently in order for it to go the way I want. She was intelligent, and Cadsuane comes off like an idiot to me because she keeps banging her head against the wall and pissing off everybody, and so the Sea Folk don't want to deal with her. The Aiel don't really want to deal with her. Nobody wants to work with her, and so she's going to be left alone, right? Except not in this series because it's Robert Jordan, and he will be like, no, domineering women always get what they want anyway, so it doesn't matter. And like, but like,
well, that's not...
In reality, Cadsuane would not have any friends or allies, and she would not be a part of the final fight because nobody would want her around.
Nobody
would trust her.
Does want her around, but she just forces herself.
No,
to
there's
be there.
one prophecy that is forcing her to be there. If it wasn't for Min's vision, Cadsuane would have been kicked out on her ass.
Oh, maybe.
And Cadsuane is taking advantage of that.
Kevin, thank you for that super chat. Finally catching book club live for the first time in months. I love you guys. Thank you. You bring a new level of enjoyment to a series I've loved for decades. Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're enjoying book club.
Cadsuane is just like... Cadsuane is like the best and the worst of the Aes Sedai, and the problem is that the Aes Sedai are a lot of bad, and so it's highlighted in Cadsuane.
What is the best of her? I'm actually curious because I don't see anything redeemable in her, and I would like for you to change my mind.
Well, I don't think that it's redeemable, but I understand where she's coming from, where the fate of the entire world is at stake. And she is 300, and she sees Rand as literally a child who, like, can't make decisions for herself. And so she's there to, yes, protect him in any way possible, but also, like, she doesn't know how to even, like, communicate with him. So she's, like, she was able to save his life in the fog, and then again at Shadar Logoth. And so she's very, like, capable in her... She's very capable in doing what she wants in terms of what she's good at. She's a Green Aja. She does the battle stuff, right? But she's definitely not a great diplomat. Or I'm like,
you didn't change my mind.
No, I don't expect to. I
wanted like a redeemable quality. Like I want a quality about this character that's redeemable. Not like, oh, in these two fights, her actions worked.
I mean, I wouldn't like her as a person if I met her. So I don't think I can, like, redeem her to you. But I find it interesting to read because she represents a lot within the series. So, yeah.
Okay.
She's good. Yeah, she's good at knitting.
We just spend so much time with this character who's just awful. And she's just awful to everybody. And for no reason. Like, she has no reason to be mean. She's no reason to be aggressive. Mm-hmm. No one, literally everyone is letting her do what she wants, and she's still just so horrid. And, like, it just is it's a shame. It's a shame, because I think, like, the idea of the character is really cool, and I think that if Shohreh Aghdashloo plays her on the show, she will make the character an actual human being, instead of just this, like, weird, aggressive attack on older women that Robert Jordan has written into a series. Because she doesn't feel like a real person. Like, nobody is this fucking obstinate and ridiculous in a position of power like she is. It really is. It's bland at this point.
All right.
I want it to not be, right? Like, I want her to do anything else to not be bland. But she's bland. Like, every time I read her, I'm like, I know how she's going to respond, because she's one thing. And like, even in the scene, the first chapter we're going to get to, she's literally counting, and then she just smacks Rand on the ass in public. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what the fuck is this? And I know that's how everybody in these series reacts. Yeah. Like, that one, I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're in public. Like, have some fucking decorum. Like, what is this?
Yeah, like, most people, like, if you're an advisor to somebody, you would wait until you're, like, in private to, like, chastise them or, like, fight with them. But she doesn't really give a shit. She thinks that she knows what is best.
Yeah.
And we'll see. We'll see if she actually does. I definitely thought when we first met Cadsuane, we made these shirts, that I would like her more and she'd be a lot interesting. I don't hate her, but I definitely don't love her. So
I just roll my eyes every time her name is on page at this point, and that's sad, because...
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want to roll my eyes at characters, right?
Yeah.
And there's too many in this series that I do.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, do we have any other housekeeping before we just go into the chapters?
I don't think so. No, I think that's it.
Blue Light says she slapped Rand for swearing, for fuck's sakes. Yeah, that's a weird thing to do in public in a meeting. That's weird. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't use magic to hit people while they're talking because you're upset at the words that they use.
Yeah. And Marie says a switch is a weapon, yet the Aes Sedai hit each other with the source all the time.
Yeah, no, the Aes Sedai 3-Oaths are bullshit. We've covered this before, right? But the 3-Oaths don't make any sense. They only work in so much as you believe that they work. And so because you, like, and we'll get into that today. Like, the 3-Oaths are literally garbage because there is a point in the reading today where one character decides, oh, my oath to that woman doesn't matter anymore because I have arbitrarily decided that she's no longer the Amberland seat, even though 5 minutes ago I believed that she was, and so I'm released from my oath because of an arbitrary distinction that she makes in her own head. The 3 oaths are meaningless.
Do you think that the 3 oaths will make it to the end of the series? Like, do you think Egwene will be like, yes, the 3 oaths, we have to like stand by this, or do you think that there is going to be a shift in her perspective? Because I think that encounter with Bianin is important, right? She's like, oh, that was so easy to circumvent. Like,
I don't know, because I don't know how Brandon Sanderson writes yet. And like,
fair.
here's the thing that's going to be really interesting. Now that I understand where this book ends, right? Not fully, like I don't know everything that happens in the rest of the book, but I understand that this book does not get into Tarmangaden at all.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Like, Robert Jordan did not write the final battle. He wrote a world where there was going to be a final battle one day, and then he died, and someone else had to come in and write that actual final battle that is not set up by the books in any way.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it obviously is a little bit, but like, I'm 11 books in. I don't know what the final battle is. I don't know what the like stakes of this world are at this point. It really doesn't seem worth saving. And so Robert Jordan, I was expecting the end of this book to, like, the second half of this book, I thought we were going to get a lot more plot in the first half and less setup. And the first half of this book was just continuing the setup of Crossroads of Twilight. There's been stuff that happens. No, I just mean structurally, right? Like, this isn't like a subjective opinion.
Nothing is wrapped up.
The first half of this book does not finish a storyline, except for Galad. It continues to, like, piecemeal the plot lines of Crossroads of Twilight forward in a couple of point of views. But like, Elaine's plotline moves forward a little bit. Perrin learns about the Fork Root, but so far nothing has resolved. Right. Arguably, Matt's kind of is mostly wrapped up at the end of this week. But I still don't think that Matt is going to, like, start Tarmangaden next week, right? No, but he does have some kind of resolution so far in the book. Robert Jordan wrote 11 books about a world in which a bunch of people will one day have to fight. Well, one day I have to actually engage with the plot that is set up in book 1, but he never wrote that plot. Well, that's not true. He wrote an outline for it. He wrote parts of it. Pages, sure. But my point is, like, this book is going to end at, okay, I finished up the world building and the, like, setup of it. Someone else wrote the entirety of what the final battle is, right? The actual concrete, like, battle is completely going to be a different point of view. And so I don't know. I think that, like, from what I understand, Robert Jordan left a lot of work behind for Brandon Sanderson to use, and that, like, it's definitely a joint effort between the two of them, but I don't think Brandon Sanderson took it over and did something with it. Like, I think that I'm not saying the, like, outline. I'm not saying that Robert Jordan didn't pass off what happens in the final battle. I'm saying in terms of the prose of how it is written, the entirety of the final battle, of the actual struggle between Rand and the Devil. Because Rand and the Dark One don't really fight very much, especially in the last 5 books. So the entirety of that actual battle is going to be written by a completely different author, so it's going to have a completely different feel, right? No matter how well Brandon Sanderson imitates Robert Jordan's writing style, we are going to get this very distinct line where all of the, like, characters going off on their own to do their random plot lines that are kind of not really tangentially connected. I feel like he's going to wrap those up in this book. And then the shift of the entire series towards Tarmangaden, away from all of this kind of, like, oh, I need to go get Fael, I need to go do this, I need to go do this, to we have to come together and do this, is going to be written with a different narrative style, because Brandon Sanderson is just going to be a different person. Sure, but we haven't read those yet. I'm not ready to say that they're going to feel completely different. It probably is going to be a noticeable shift. But, like, I like, because of how much Robert Jordan left behind, like, I'm not sure that will be the case until I read it for myself. And that's right. I'm not saying that it's going to be a bad thing. I just mean that, like, it is going to be very different in terms of voice, right? I don't think Brandon Sanderson is going to write about spanking and nudity and sexuality the way that Robert Jordan does, right? Yes, we do know, based on the graph that someone sent us, that the word breasts significantly decreases
in Sanderson's writing.
And so I think that there's going to be I think it's all going to feel very different. But I also think that it's the right time. This might sound weird, but I think it's the right time for it to feel different. Like, this series has to shift away from this sort of myriad of experience writing that Robert Jordan is doing to something a little bit more focused. And so if you're gonna draw a line in the sand when that should happen, all of these plot lines that have been going on for 4 books coming to the end at the same time, and then a new author taking over in the wake of that, I think that the timing of that might work out well.
Oh, I think it works really well because there's so many instances in this book where it's like, okay, you guys are going to get ready for Tarmangaden. You guys are going to get ready for Tarmangaden. You're going to go this way to get ready for Tarmangaden. Like, that is, like, definitely set up in this book that we're about to have, I think, a colossal shift in the structure. Derburb, thank you for the super chat.
Big assumptions from Nerdy in this economy? I don't think this is that big an assumption. I feel like this is I think that this is a pretty safe bet.
That it's going to feel completely different?
Not completely different, but I think that it's a safe bet to say that a different author took over with notes for 1 book and he wrote 3 800-page novels out of it, right? Like,
I mean, notes for 1 book, like that, we don't know how many notes that is.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying, like, it's not like Robert Jordan handed him 1,000 pages and he turned in 1,005.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
He was handed a notes for a book and he turned in 2,400 pages of novel. So, like, there's going to be a natural sort of expansion into Brandon Sanderson's style. And that happens in every kind of writing, right? Except for maybe the best kind of ghostwriter. But when you write 2,400 pages, I don't think a ghostwriter kind of approach really works. I think that we're going to feel the Sanderson of it. And I don't think that that's a bad thing, right? The reason I brought this up was because I think that the end of Knife of Dreams is actually... If there's going to be a time in this series to transition to a new writer, the end of Knife of Dreams kind of is the right point for that. Is the point I'm trying to make. Like, we are kind of ending a thing. It's not a thing that I think is very good. Like, I think the last 4 books have been sort of a very slow and lethargic kind of thing. But that slow, lethargic kind of ambling 20 different narrative storytelling is coming to an end. That is the right time to take off with somebody new.
Yeah.
That's the only point that I'm making.
No, I think that this is the right time for that, for sure. Turok, welcome back to the nerd table.
Sanderson covers this subject in his forward of next book. Parts by Jordan, parts by Sanderson, some tweaks, some mix. That's fair.
Cool. I'm honestly, like, you know, what happened with Robert Jordan obviously is, like, tragic, but I am kind of excited to see... I've never seen a series that is, like, finished by a different person, and I want to see how it fits together, and like what Sanderson brings and what Sanderson doesn't bring that highlights what Robert Jordan does so well. You know, like, I am excited to talk about those things.
I'm excited as well.
It's gonna be fun.
But part of the point that I was making, and I feel like maybe I didn't articulate this very well, is that I think that you won't notice the shift in authorial style as much as you would have because the narrative is in a point of shift anyway.
I understand.
Like, I feel like Brandon Sanderson is taking over at a time when the series is taking off in a new direction. And so you don't notice the narrative shift as much because you're like, oh, these books are doing something different now.
Right.
Whereas, like, if I think that he had taken over for Knife of Dreams in the middle of 19 different plot lines that all had to continue to the point that we're almost at now, I think that you would have noticed the narrative shift style. And we won't be able to fully talk about this until we've read a Brandon Sanderson book, but
for sure.
I think that, like, the point where it happened is almost fortuitous for where in the plot things are happening.
Yeah.
This isn't me trashing anybody. Like, I just am
saying,
like...
I wasn't sure what the point you're trying to make was.
And I don't think it took me a second to get there, but...
No, I got you. Yeah. Shall we get into chapter 20?
I mean, it's been 28 minutes, so maybe we should talk about the chapters.
Maybe.
All right.
Maybe.
Lay it on me. What happens?
Oh God, who
Rand.
Oh.
In tier.
Your favorite part of this section, I'm assuming. Right? This is your favorite?
What?
Well, this is the one part with Cadsuane, so I'm just assuming it's your favorite part.
I like this chapter a lot.
Oh, okay, well that's good.
I feel like we got more of the version of Rand that I think... here's the thing, y'all. I've said this multiple times. There isn't enough Rand in these books. His is the most important plot, and it is also the sparsest. So when we're with him, I do enjoy reading these books more because I actually feel like I'm with the plot. and I'm not on a side quest.
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't feel like a side quest. This felt very necessary. There's one thing in it that I don't understand.
Okay.
But let's start at the beginning. Rand shows up to Tyr after they were, like, kicked out of setting Shanghai by the Ogier.
Yeah, the Ogier were like, hey, appreciate it. Get the fuck out.
Robert Jordan wants there to be a lot of comedy in these books, but he always writes the wrong kind of comedy because that's an actual comedy scene that could have been very funny. And then he's like, no, the comedy in my books is spanking. And I'm like, no. Show us Rand arguing with an Ogier.
Yeah.
Like, that is funnier than
it's not our kind of comedy.
It's not comedy. Spanking isn't comedy.
Somebody out there finds it funny.
That doesn't make it comedy. Physical abuse is not comedy. It just isn't. I'm sorry, it's not. Violence can be comedy, but just like constant physical abuse is not comedy.
Yeah.
Especially when it's mostly engineered towards women. But I was sad that we didn't get this scene because even in describing it, I was like, that's fucking hilarious. Why weren't we there?
Yeah, I would actually love to. I would actually love to see that. Robin, so sorry if I say that wrong.
Sanderson has a very cinematic writing style. A lot of his scenes feel like you're reading a film script. I think you'll like it.
Cool. Okay. Thank you for coming back to the nerd table. What?
This is going to be so pedantic, but I don't think that is true.
Maybe.
If you've ever read a film script, you'll know that film scripts are not very cinematic.
No, they're not saying it's like reading a film. Well, okay, I think that they said it's like you're reading a film script, but it's more so that like you get an actual painted picture of like what the film would end up being. You're right.
I know. But what's funny about that is that if you've read a lot of film scripts, that's not what reading a film script feels like.
I hate reading film.
Reading a film script is like the two characters fight. Interior. The lighting here will be dull orange on the left side of the screen, and the lighting on the right side of the screen will be purple. When we shift to the other character, in order to portray the bisexual vibe that is intended by the lighting of the scene, like reading a film script is just not very descriptive.
It's like reading a movie. But that's fair. That's fair.
If you read a lot of film scripts, not the ones that get published later, because what they'll do in that case is they'll have a writer go and fill in what actually ended up happening in the movie, so that the film script that you buy reads more like the film. But if you get it before the film is made, what you actually get is insert action sequence later. Ask VFX what they have prevised. And then the dialogue continues. Like, the film script doesn't describe fucking anything. Yeah.
No, that's fair. Welcome back to the nerd table.
Welcome back, Robin.
I'm looking forward to it. So they get to Tyr, and things are fucking wonky around Rand. People are just falling from buildings, birds running into one another. It's a weird time. It's a weird time in Tyr.
And then something happens that I genuinely don't understand.
Okay.
They go to an inn and rent a room for an hour, which feels like they're gonna be having sex. And I get why the innkeeper is like, you're taking 5 women into a room for an hour? That's fucking weird, dude. But he has to be able to see the stone from the room. And then once he's in that room, he opens a gateway into the heart of the stone. Mm-hmm. But why?
What do you mean, why?
Like, we've never set up that you have to see a place to travel to it. So this whole scene just felt very strange to me because I didn't understand what was going on.
I don't think he, like, had to... I don't think he had to look at it. I just think that he, like, grabbed the nicest room because it was the largest for the soul.
Multiple times in the writing, he's like, it is vitally important that we can see the room, that we can see the outside of the stone from our room.
Oh, maybe it's easier.
But why?
I don't know. I thought he just wanted a big room so that the portal could be bigger.
But he could do that from a field outside of Tyr. Like, I just didn't I didn't understand what was the purpose of going into the inn at all.
Well, they had a place to keep their horses and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
I'm pretty sure that's what...
But then why not just, like, travel from anywhere? You know what I mean? Like, it was just it was one of those weird moments where he was like, I need to see the Tyr. And I was like, oh, what's the reason he needed to see the Tyr? And then he just opened a gateway and walked through and left the room behind. I was like, oh, I guess he didn't need to see the Tyr.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he had... but I guess he could have done that anywhere. He has to know where he is very well to travel, but if
no,
he's
that's only for traveling far. If he's skimming short distances, he doesn't need to know where he is. Right? If you're within, like, 10 kilometers, you can just skim a place really easily without knowing where you are. It's only when you're traveling through, like, a full gateway that you have to know the place that you're traveling from. So I understand why he got close to Tyr in order to skim into the room. But even that, he's been to that room. Like, there was just so much about... this scene was, like, this big setup that I was like... traveling has never worked this way before. And I was like, okay, yeah, I guess. And then we moved on to a scene that I really liked. It was just this weird beat of like, why does he need to see it?
I didn't think
he
about
literally has magic.
Why he needed to look at it. I'm not sure, actually. I don't know. Maybe you just really wanted to go to an inn.
Yeah, no, it was just a strange sequence of events that I was like...
they go to the inn to hide the portal and to have a place for the horses. Yeah, it's just the specific room with the view of the stone. I'm not sure.
But then the next time we see him in the reading later, he's in Altara. And so, like, it just felt like all of this was just unnecessary pages of, like, not really anything. Like, it was just this weird setup to how he got into the stone that I didn't need any of. Because... it's teleportation, and them going back out to that inn doesn't matter because they're in the other side of the continent the next time we see them. So it's just this weird, like, 3-page conversation that I just didn't understand what was going on. It led to like the scene in the stone is great. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not. I did really enjoy that. And we're gonna talk about it. This whole first half of the chapter I read twice though, and I was like, why is this here? But no, they take the horses with them to Altara. So, like, I didn't get it.
No, I understand why they're at the inn. I'm not sure why that specific room, but yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so they go into the stone, and they go through Rand.
They see the Steam Wagon.
Oh, right. There's a car.
A car. I think it's a train.
Well, no, a train needs tracks.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a car. That's all a car is. It's just a train without tracks. That's all cars are. Don't know if you guys know that.
Well, I mean, it's definitely not made. It doesn't use gas. It uses like coal, like a train, right?
Well, yeah, but so does
it's like a steam engine car.
Oh, it's a steam engine. Yeah, it's just not a train.
A steam engine car. Okay.
Like the one thing that makes a train is it being a train.
Wow, thanks.
But we have cars you can make cars that run on steam, right?
Yeah, I guess.
There's hydrogen cars now.
Okay, yeah. I guess, yeah, there's definitely no tracks, but he's a steam wagon. No, there's no tracks because they say that they, like, took it from the one city to the other. There's definitely no way that they, like, built tracks.
Yeah, there's definitely no tracks.
From there to...
That would have taken them years.
Yeah, no, there's no way.
Yeah. There's no way there's tracks.
It's actually an 18-wheeler.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a big, not moving truck, fucking, like, hauler. I don't know what you call those.
I do, but my favorite thing about the Steam Wagon is the beat where Rand is like, it's not like merchants would ever, like, adapt to this. Merchants are very slow to adapt, and Lews Therin in his head is just like, God, you're so fucking stupid.
It's like, there's an idiot in my head.
There's an idiot in my head. I wish Lews Therin said that more. I just wish Lews Therin was like, oh, you're dumb.
Well, he calls him mad a lot. He's like, there's a madman in my head.
But... I know, but it would be funnier if he was like, oh, you're a fucking idiot. Like, Jesus Christ.
That would be very
funny.
Do
you think Lews Therin ever gives Rand sex tips?
I hope not. I don't think Rand would like that very much.
Do you think that Rand is like mid thrust on Min, and in the back of his head he just like hears Lews Therin being like half whole, half whole, half whole. No. Slow down. Yeah. Long strokes, Rand. Long strokes. You got this, boy.
He's just like hyping him up.
I want the scene where Rand goes down on Min for the first time, and in the back of his head, he's like, Lews Therin's like, do you see that nubbin at the top of the... Yeah, that's the clitoris.
Yeah,
You're gonna want to play with that.
Oh, my God.
Ileana really liked it when you stuck 2 in the pink, 1 in the stink.
Yeah. Give this one a try. Oh, my fucking God. I mean, look,
Woo!
I don't think you're wrong. But no, I don't think we'll ever get that scene, unfortunately.
God.
Wow.
Back in my day, we called this a rim job. And Rand is just down there like, dude, like, not now.
I'm trying to focus.
I am eating ass right now. What are you doing, Luce?
I feel like Lews Therin would be really good for him stopping to come early. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, oh, fuck, there's a guy in my head. That'll, like, take you right out of it for a moment, you know? Rand goes real long.
I want to call anytime you like are down on someone and you go like ass to clit. That's now called cleansing the taint. I need these scenes.
Tossing the saladar.
Oh, that's so good. Turvok, thank you for that super chat.
Turvok, thank you so much. Oh my god. Tossing the saladar is fucking prime. Prime right there.
Wow.
Oh my god.
All right, that's book club for this week.
Sorry.
Bye.
We're done. Prematurely got to Smut Corner.
Oh my god. That is so funny. We have been neglecting Smut Corner this whole time of what does Luce think during all of these scenes.
Yeah, honestly, we've gone about Smut Corner all wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. All right, shut it down. We're going home, kids. Next week, we're talking about Dune. We're done with the Wheel of Time. We've peaked. We will never be funnier than what just happened.
Well, that wasn't even us. It was Turvok.
Yeah. Well done, Turvok.
Well done.
Well done.
Well done. That was the peak.
Think of baseball, madman. All right, moving on. So
wow.
Rand gateways into the stone, and he opens the door, and the guards are still there, and they're like, "Hey," and he's like, "Hey, you guys don't have to do this," and they're like,
"No,
we didn't know.
We had to do this."
Well, no, he's like, "You guys, I said you only had to guard it while the Calendor's here," and they're like, "No, you didn't. You just said to guard it," and he's like, fuck, I should have been more specific. I'm sorry, guys. You guys just been standing outside an empty room for months.
Hey, you know what? It's not that bad. There are worse jobs.
Job's a job.
Yeah, they're getting paid for it, so...
Yeah, every job has dignity and work, you know what I mean?
Do you think that Lews Therin just, like, hums while Rand is boning down the whole time? I'm sorry, I can't.
I tried so hard to get us out of it, and now all I can think is, like, what songs...
What songs?
Do you think Rand and Min are at it, right? Mm-hmm. They both finish, they roll over, and in the back of Rand's head, all you hear is, I just had sex, and it felt so good. She let Rand put his penis inside her.
No, he just hummed
That's
it.
Gotta be our Wheel of Time Idol contribution, is the songs Lews Therin sings while Rand fucks.
No. No. No, we will get disqualified.
Do you know how when you're going down on someone and you like hum to make it like have a vibrational quality? Do you think Min feels it when Rand's going down on her and Lews Therin is humming?
No, but I'm gonna remember that. Thank you.
Are you a Telltale video game? What the fuck was that?
What? No, I just you know, it's nice to get some like tips and tricks.
You already do that.
A hum? No, I don't hum.
You make noises, yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
You create the...
But I've never, like...
This is so fucking weird.
Never mind.
Did you not get the Telltale joke there?
What's Telltale?
Oh, in Telltale games, they're like point and click, like, conversation. You make choices in conversation kind of games. Uh-huh. And you'll like click on an option, and you'll be like, Mike, I don't love you. And then at the top of the screen, it will always be like, Mike will remember that.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I did not play a lot of point and click.
So when you said, I will remember that, I was like, that's a funny Telltale joke.
No, that was not, did not mean to
Cool.
do that.
Can you tell I don't want to talk about this book? Let's get into it.
I do.
I know you do.
The corridors are all changing again.
Yep.
Yeah. So So it's not just Camelin. It's probably everywhere. I'm assuming it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Do you think the people in Shara, like, don't know anything about Tarmangaden, and they're like, what the fuck is going on with all of our buildings?
Or in, like, Australia. Not even the Seanchan, not Shara. Like, just totally unrelated. A place that is so untouched.
They're like, we don't have prophecies here.
The place where people actually know how to communicate with one another on this planet.
Oh my god.
They're like, guys,
Australia?
We all need to get together and talk about what's going on. This is wild.
So we see Alana for the first time in...
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
I love that Rand, they're like, we need to show you. And he's like, nah, I got this. And he's like, I've got a homing beacon.
Yeah. They're like, sorry about the quarters. They keep changing. He's like, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. I can feel this woman in my head. But not as much as usual because the other 3 women have taken primacy now that they've bonded me. Because...
Sure. Yeah.
3 against 1, I guess.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's not that much interesting that happens with Alana, but we do see oh god, Caroline? Is that her name?
Caroline Damodred.
Yeah, we got
moving
more...
up in the world, becoming the Queen of Tyr.
More Damodred.
Because Damodred and Darlin, what the fuck is his name? Darlin. Darlin doesn't want to be king. But he's gonna be king of Tyr.
Yeah.
And
he's like, I'll be king if you marry me. And she's like, maybe.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah.
And Weramon's there. He's not supposed to be, but he's there because Weramon
is an idiot.
He's dumb.
Yes.
Weramon is a big dum-dum.
We do not like Weramon.
And Rand's like, go back to where you're supposed to be.
Put that thing back where it came from, Mr. Help me.
Yeah.
Weramon's like, but Mom.
So Rand basically shows up to be like, yo, we need to go to Aradomin to get ready for Tarmangaden. Why do you think Rand thinks Aradomin is where Tarmangaden is happening? Where does that come from to you?
I think because that's where the Seanchan are fighting right now. And he's gonna align...
I don't think they're fighting in Aradomin right now.
We have a map. I can't remember. Aren't the Seanchan, like, taking over Aradomin and he's, like, gonna, like, join his forces together?
I love that I'm literally pulling up the map right now.
Randland map.
No, Aradomin's up here. The Seanchan are all down here.
No, I think they've moved north, right?
No, they're currently fighting over here. Like the Seanchan, all the Seanchan fighting is happening over here right now.
Sorry, different A. Name.
You guys can definitely know what I'm pointing at, but
I mean, Aradomin at least gets them like closer to the borderlands, so maybe they're gonna like march up the coast.
I guess this place is called World's End, so maybe that's where the final battle happens.
Yeah, that might be it.
In World's End.
That definitely might be it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess they're going up there because he also thinks that it's gonna be near the Blight, so
yeah.
Yeah.
I found like the Aradomin of it all was interesting, just because I feel like we haven't really spent much time there other than with Gildan controlling it, right? Mm-hmm. And so when he was like, you're going to Aradomin, and also that's where Yael went, and I just wish I knew why. Like, I wish that I had a better idea of where Aradomin, why. I think that part of the thing that I find weird about the Rand POVs mm-hmm. is he clearly has a plan, and it isn't being shared with us, but we're in his head. Mm-hmm. And so, like, Robert Jordan is writing Rand's point of view, but Rand is deliberately not thinking about what I would like to know about what he's doing. Because I understand what he's doing. I don't get why. And it is weird to me to have a character whose head I'm inside of, but I never really feel like the why of his actions makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah. And so it's just interesting because I feel like Robert Jordan doesn't do that as much with other characters. Like, I feel like I generally understand why Perrin is doing what he's doing. No, you know what? He does the same thing with Elaine. Elaine is a character who keeps talking around like, oh, I've got this plan. There's this thing I'm going to do in her own head. But I don't know if Elaine really actually has a plan. She did have a plan that we saw her, like, enact, but we keep being told that she has a plan. Like, in her head, she's like, oh, if my plan comes to fruition. But we don't know what that plan is. Yeah. And I feel like he does that with Rand, too, where I'm like, if we're gonna be if it's gonna be a first person from his point of view, it feels odd to me to put up these like barriers around understanding why he's doing what he's doing. It just feels unnecessary.
I mean, Rand is losing it, so
sure, yeah,
he's loose in it.
But he still knows why he's doing what he's doing. We just don't.
You missed my joke.
You've made that joke before.
Oh, fair enough. I didn't remember making that joke before, so it's fine. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like shut you down so hard.
No, that's fine.
It's just not the first time you've made that joke.
It's fine. I'm gonna put it on a t-shirt so I don't forget that I made it again.
I'm sorry. Should we do a just loosen it t-shirt?
Just loosen it? Yeah. Why not?
And so yeah, I wish Graham says he did the same thing with Egwene last book. Yeah, 100%.
That's true.
I would just like to know why things are happening a little bit more right now, because they aren't happening. Mm-hmm. And so if we're not going to be doing the thing, I would at least like to know what the thing that he's having other people do is. Mm-hmm. And because I honestly think that it would have been nice for this chapter to end with a like, all right, guys, I gotta go meet with the Seanchan, or just like here's what the plan is.
I mean, yeah, maybe he doesn't trust these people.
Yeah, but it could have been the Cadsuane, right? It could have been it just could have been. I liked this scene. It was interesting, and not a lot happens in it, but like it was interesting and fun to read. I like that Caroline's moving up in the world. I like that. I like the interaction around Darlin becoming the king of Tyr. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean very much because he's been in like one scene before.
We don't know him super well.
I don't know what his perspective is.
Seems like a good dude.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a good thing.
Yeah. So like I don't know. This was like a pleasant read that just it didn't really feel like it was about very much. It just kind of was like, here's what's going on in Tyr. There's a king there now.
Yes.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on to the sea folk, which we don't get that often, and to be honest, still not a huge fan of the sea folk, but that's fine.
To make an anchor weep, chapter 22. How do you make an anchor weep, Clarus?
You murder an entire civilization.
No, you tie a woman to a ceiling naked and spank her publicly.
Sorry, yeah, you're right. Yes, Hareen is not having a good time. Her bargain is seen as wanting, which, it's not her fault, Taviran and all that. Yeah. But she's like, I don't think you understand. Like, I'm lucky that I got as much as I did out of these fucking people. But she's chilling there. She's like, Min's vision is gonna come true. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be bad bitch one day. I can't remember what it's called. I'm gonna be boss lady. Mistress of the ships, is that it? That's it, right? Yeah. I'm gonna be mistress of the ships, one day. And we have a meeting where Logain comes in on behalf of Rand and is like, hey, let's go. Those ships, you promised. Time for Tarmangaten. Everybody pull up your bootstraps and let's go. And they're like, what? This is preposterous. Too many ships. And he's like, okay, but it's Tarmangaten. So, like, we're going to want to give it everything that we've got. And so then in the middle of that, someone comes in and is like, hey, all of these people that we've never met before, we've only heard mentioned not even mentioned in passing. I don't even think they've been given a name before that. Whole civilization committed mass suicide. So that's fun. Yeah. Yeah. That sums it up. Arzu, thank you for that super chat. I just started watching them an hour behind. But I have a super chat until I catch up.
We'll see when you catch up, Arzu.
We'll see you later.
This was like a weird chapter. Because it starts with, you weren't a good enough negotiator with the person that we are prophesized to work for. Yeah. So we tied you naked to the ceiling and, like, spanked the shit out of you. Yeah. Which was just a weird place to start this chapter.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
Totally unnecessary.
Poor Hareen.
It's just totally unnecessary, right? It's in service of fucking nothing except to be like, oh, no, don't worry. The women in this culture also spank their women for any fucking thing.
In case you, case you were worried.
And so it just started in a weird place. And then it just, the sea folk are portrayed as just awful always.
Yeah, I don't know if there's many people that love the Sea Folk. Every time we talk about them, people kind of are like, yeah, Sea Folk kind of suck.
The only redeeming time we've ever seen the Sea Folk was Elaine on the ship, books and books and books
ago. Which was very cool, actually.
Those characters do not feel like they're part of this culture. Those characters seemed totally reasonable and kind. They've become awful. Like, Robert Jordan has written them to be awful. And so at the end of this chapter, when they're so upset about the IMR, IMRs killing themselves, I don't know what an IMR is. I don't know. The
only thing we know about them is that they live near the other Choden Call thingy-majiggy, and when that went to shit, that was the prophecy. They had a prophecy about the world was ending, and so they were like, all right, time to nope out of this existence.
Yeah, and so they're I think they're supposed to be a reference to the Kool-Aid cult, right? In Africa.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's supposed to be a reference to the is it Georgetown? I can't remember what it's called.
Sure where.
But they see the world as ending, and so they all kill themselves, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't know who they are. I don't care about them. They don't matter to me in that they've been mentioned at the end of Winter's Heart in like a quarter of a page.
Yeah.
And then now they're all dead.
Jonestown,
thank you. So it just felt like a weird...
Okay.
It felt like a weird way to, like, fit in this, like, reference to a real-world event that was a tragedy with characters that we don't know and don't have any perspective.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, South America. That we don't have any perspective on. And... Because the Sea Folk are portrayed as being so awful and so unrelatable,
yes.
They're like so sad, and I was like, I really don't care. Like this, I've never
know any of these people.
I've never read a self-genocide that had such little emotional impact on me before.
Yeah, I was like, oh wow, that sucks. I was like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm like heartless, but I was like, all right.
Yeah, it was so strange because I was reading, and I was like, oh, they murdered their children with poison. Okay, that's awful. Who are we talking about? Like, and I was literally like, did I skip over it? Because, look, guys, I promised after Crossroads of Twilight I wouldn't skim anymore. I would read every single word. Mm-hmm. But in the slog, I skimmed over some descriptions of some things. Mm-hmm. And so there was definitely a part of my brain that was like, did I skip over an entire race of people that I should be aware of? So I Googled it to make sure that I did not.
No.
This just kind of comes out of nowhere. And I really was like, oh, I don't care. That's weird.
Yeah.
There's a genocide of a race, and I am like completely numb to it. It was a weird feeling reading it.
I agree. I was like, wow, I suck. Okay.
But I don't think it's us. I think that this chapter is so bizarre. It starts with this like very like weird personal humiliation of this character, and then Logain appears to demand their side of the agreement, which the Sea Folk, like the weird thing about the Sea Folk is that they're like, no, agreements have to be kept when it's the other person, but they have no personal culpability. Like as soon as it's their side of the agreement, they're trying to find a way out of it. Yeah. Like they're such hypocrites. They suck.
Everyone is. The
Aes Sedai that's working for Zeta is there to teach them how to channel, and instead they treat her like ass. Mm-hmm. And so like they're presented as so awful, but then it feels like the book wants us to like be empathetic towards their sadness about something that is just so random and out of left field. This whole chapter was just, it was really interesting, and I felt like Logain, this was one of my favorite Logain moments. I think Logain shows up and he's doing his job well, and he's carrying himself well, and he's speaking well, and he shows up in this position of like authority in a way that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, like he's not being disrespectful,
no.
But he's not, he has a position of authority, and it feels like these people really don't give a shit about the Dragon Reborn or their Koromor, so...
And so I don't know what they care about.
Yeah,
like, the Sea Folk, I don't know what they care about. They clearly cared about the IMR, but...
we didn't even know that until they were all dead!
Yeah.
Trevor, welcome back to the Nerd Table. Happy freaking book club!
It's,
Yeah.
It's just strange. I really love the Logain stuff in this chapter, and everything around it was very distracting and weird.
It's very strange, yeah.
I just wish the Sea Folk are interesting in concept, and the execution of them leaves so much to be desired.
And I really wish, honestly, that we had more perspective on Tremalking with the IMR. Like,
100%.
They genuinely just feel so detached from everything. Like, I feel like I knew more about the people from Shara, even though we've never fucking been there, than the IMR. So.
No, well, yeah, of course. Like
Yeah. It was just interesting. It's very strange. But yeah, again, it's Loghain being like, all right, everyone get ready for Tarmangaden. So.
In Eridomen.
Yeah.
But why Eridomen? Like, there's all of these things are going to Eridomen, but why?
Okay, I have a question for chat. And and don't explain it. Did we miss something about Eridomen? Are we just forgetting something? Have we missed a thing on Eridomen? Is there a reason that they're all going there? Because if so, I genuinely feel like I don't remember what it was. And I feel weird. No, yes,
No.
yes, no. Okay. This is very helpful.
Helpful. You guys are.
I don't think so.
You guys are
no,
really crushing it
no,
here.
Yes, no. Oh, wow, okay. Well, then I don't feel so bad. If chat is okay. Okay, cool.
George says no, it's simply the last open country to get. Then why would okay, but if that's the case, why would Rand send people by boat?
What do you mean?
He can teleport.
He has to send the boats there. The boats need to get there.
Okay, Tyr is here.
Uh-huh.
Eridomen is here.
Yeah.
Rand has allies here.
Uh-huh.
In Saldea that could walk. Like, why would you do this? Like,
you gotta get the boats there.
But they have to sail past the Seanchan, who blow ships out of the water in their harbors. Like,
well,
like, it doesn't,
he's thinking that he's about to make a truce with the Seanchan.
If we could just know why he's doing this, it would be really interesting. But because we don't, the plan seems stupid to me. But if we knew why, I would be on board, right? But instead, it's like, no, you have to do this, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're sending food, but he's right. The Seanchan are right there. Aren't they just going to sink everybody?
They have to sail past the entirety of the Seanchan.
Rand has to be, like, very certain that his, like, negotiations are going to work.
And so the idea that, yeah, I feel like if we just could have had a little bit more of the why and a little bit less of just, like, you're going to go do this thing, I would have enjoyed it more. That's all I'm saying. I would like to know why Rand is doing what he's doing a little bit more right now, because his point of view is, it's literally like 15 chapters of everybody else. Perrin will get 5 straight chapters talking about why he is doing every minute action down to why every single person is in the line of the tent. You know what I mean? We'll get 5 chapters of that, and then we cut to Rand, and it's 1 chapter of him being kind of vague, and then it's 6 chapters of Elaine talking to every single person in the hallways of fucking Camelin. Like, we're literally getting these, like, massive moments of, like, we're going to speak to every single character Elaine meets on a Tuesday. And then we cut to Rand, and Rand is like, vague, vague, vague. I'm going to do this thing for 15 pages, then I'm out. And I'm like, let's shift some of this time, just some of it, to the main character of the series and why he's doing what he's doing.
Would definitely love more Rand. Yes, that is fair.
I just feel like Rand is, like, weirdly the most neglected main character in the series. And I'm just a little bit tired of it because his is the plot I care about.
Yeah, he feels like the most important. He's the one that I want to spend time with for sure. As much as I do enjoy a lot of the other storylines, I do wish there was more of Rand.
Army says, to be fair, I don't think they would have a hard time avoiding Seanchan ships. Army, I think
that is a huge gamble.
That's not historically how things have gone for them. There's a reason why they're having this meeting in Ibutar, and it's because all of their ships are gone, and they're trying to figure out if they have the financial... Like, go read the first half of this chapter again. This chapter starts with Hareen being like, wow, a lot of us are really fucked financially because the Seanchan took all of our ships and all of our money. Like, that's where the first, like, 5 pages of this chapter are like, wow, fuck, the Seanchan really fucked up the sea folk.
And we know that the Seanchan are bringing farmers and people, like, they are constantly sailing back home and back to Randland to bring people over to populate, right? So,
yeah,
I don't know. It is interesting. Maybe they can sail up through Ilion. It looks like there's a river that goes, no, not all the way.
No.
Never mind.
And also their ships can't go up that whole river, right?
I know. That's fair. Anyways.
This was really fun, and I liked Logain here, and I liked Rand in the last chapter. I just don't know why they're doing what they're doing, and it doesn't come back, right? Like, all this, the information of these 2 chapters, we get it, and then the next time we see Rand, he's doing the Seanchan stuff, which is just a different plot line for him. Mm-hmm. And so I just wish that we'd had a little bit more why of this if we're not going to come back to it for 100 pages. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's part of why some of the things in this book are hard to remember, because we don't know why things are happening. When they do come back, we're like, oh yeah, why did they do that? We didn't find out why they did that in the first place. So it's harder to remember it because there's not like, it doesn't stick.
Yeah, that's fair.
These books overload you with so much information that I feel like sometimes I'm having a hard time even remembering scenes from the book we are currently reading.
When things don't have a connection or a payoff, and they don't have to have like the next thing be like a payoff, but if they don't have connective tissue throughout the series, sometimes it is hard. They get left behind.
We were having this conversation about spoilers where someone was like, oh, I don't remember when things happen in the slog, right? In those 4 books.
It's just kind
and I'm
of
like, oh, of course.
wash,
like,
yeah.
Trying to remember the sequence of events in those books is really hard.
Yeah.
Because, like, who knows what happens when, right?
Yeah, I'm sure somebody's, like, mapped it out, but it is definitely not easy to follow.
Yeah. And so I think that it's,
yeah.
I just wish I knew why. That's all. I like the scene a lot. I think Logain is great in it. I think the Sea Folk aren't, but I've never liked them really. No, that's a lie. Since the Egwene, the Elaine on the ship thing was cool.
But yeah, like the first time we spent time with them, it was cool, and then after that, it's kind of been meh.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we get to Ramonda. We get some Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
Ramonda is reading smut. And she like injures her hip to make sure that nobody realizes that she's reading smut. It's so smutty. She has to keep it. She has to keep a key. She only has 2 keys to her smut chest.
Mm-hmm.
And she has one and her maid has one, and that's it.
I think that this is a joke aimed at his wife. I think that his wife has porn books. I think that Harriet had like her smut books. Mm-hmm. And I think that this was a joke directed at her.
I thought it was funny.
Oh yeah, no. This was one of the few times where the sexual humor in this series works because it isn't harmful towards anyone.
Yeah.
It is just her being so insecure about what she enjoys that she just hides it from the world. Like there's no negative to that. It is just a funny scene, and I think it's done well. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's reading some romance, and what's her face comes in. Nisao is like, yeah, hey, I've been looking for the murderers of these 2 people. Just in case you forgot, we do mention what's her face, not Cal.
What?
Cabriana
Mercades
comes up. Yes. And I literally read it. I read the name, and I was like, that seems familiar. And then Ramonda is like, that seems familiar. But, like, I didn't remember right away, and I was like, fuck, that's gonna be important, isn't it? And luckily, it is explained within the chapter, so I didn't have to, like, beat myself up for it.
Yeah.
But, the 2 Aes Sedai that were, murdered were good friends with Cabriana, and Cabriana is who Halima said that she was friends with. So obviously they had to go, because if Cabriana never mentioned this Halima person, that's like super sus.
Well, they don't realize that now, though. They don't realize that now.
No.
That's the end of the chapter.
Yeah, I was just talking about just the murders, and then we'll talk about...
Well, but
we'll get to the meeting.
But it's important that the events, the sequence of the realizations matter here, right? Because at the beginning, she just goes, "Oh, Cabriana, I don't know why that's important." She doesn't tie that to the other girls right now.
Which was me. I was like, "Fuck, why is that name important?"
So then Nisao was like, "I want to do this," and Ramonda's like, "I'll tell Elaine that you can do this." I don't know why Ramonda has that power over Lelaine. I don't really know why Lelaine.
Lelaine?
Yeah. So Lelaine doesn't want what's her butt to do the investigation, right? Nisao. But Ramonda says that she'll talk to Lelaine and allow Nassau to do her investigation. But what's weird about it is that Ramonda's a yellow. That's what the conversation's about.
Oh, Lelaine. Okay. She says you're allowed to like ask questions and investigate. So I don't know why Lelaine would be able to like stop her
because it's her Aja's business. But my question is, Ramonda shouldn't be able to override Lelaine because that would be interfering in another Aja's business,
God
right?
Damn, I fucking hate. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, the White Tower, some bullshit.
But Ramonda's like, yeah, sure, I'll let you. And then...
you can report to me while Egwene's not here.
Yes, because Ramonda is, I don't know, in charge, I guess. I don't... This structure doesn't work. It just... Like, the Aes Sedai don't function. And it's so frustrating because every time we learn new things about how they function, it, like, counteracts all the other things that we've learned about them. And I'm just like, these fucking characters. Yeah,
the way that the Hall and the Sitters and, like, all of that works is just so... frustrating. Like, God. I pick up the Wheel of Time and I'm like, the Eye of the World, and I'm like, wow, I'd love to be an Aes Sedai. And then I get to this point and I'm like, no fucking way in hell.
Yeah.
Like,
the Aes Sedai are, it's a nightmare organization.
Yeah.
That, and like Ramonda, this whole conversation is like, oh, I fucking hate old novices. And I'm like, what? You want women who can channel to just be out in the world and not be Aes Sedai? What do you think is the end result of that?
That is the one thing that I don't understand.
It's like she's not thinking. And this is a problem I've had with Ramonda and Lelaine forever. And I've said it multiple times on the show. They are set up as having political power and having opposing points of view. And we are never told what their points of view are.
Yeah.
And so
they just don't like one another.
I don't understand.
It's been going on for so long, they probably don't even remember why.
Okay, but that's not a good enough reason for them to fight politically. Like, it really is so underwritten that I get frustrated with the Ramonda and Lelaine.
Because they will fight one another about whatever they want to fight about, but we don't actually know what their, like, ultimate... like, goals are.
Yasmin says their point of view is the opposite of what the other stands for.
Yeah.
Cool. That's
so
bad
weird.
writing. I'm sorry, but that is bad writing. If you do not set up what your character's point of view is, then I don't care about their actions or their desires or their goals because they literally don't have those things. Like, what does Ramonda want? For the tower to be whole,
She wants to be better than Lelaine. That's sure. Literally, like, and Lelaine is like, I want to be better than Ramonda. Like,
sure, I'm glad we've devoted 5 novels to that, right? Like,
I mean, there's a reason that we need a third party in the United States because it's literally the Democrats and the Republicans being like, you want this? No, fuck you, we don't want this.
I know, but at least in those cases, there is a set-up narrative. Granted, the narratives are bullshit. I understand that. But I understand what the goals of the people in those fights are. Even if it's personal power, right? Mm-hmm. But Ramonda can't have more personal power. There isn't.
Yeah, I think that
Aes Sedai structure doesn't lead to anything.
Yeah, like
you just live a long time.
She could have more power over the Emerald seat, but I don't really understand if Egwene's not even there, how that's...
And so, because this has never been set up in any way, and it is just... Like, we spend so much time in these Aes Sedai chapters talking about what they're wearing and not what they're thinking. And it feels... It is the worst writing in the series. Because it is the stuff that is, like, deliberately unintentional. And I just think it's bad. I think everything around Ramonda and Lelaine has been bad in the sense that these are... 2 characters that are being treated like they are so important to the series. Yeah. And after 5 books, I could not tell you a single thing that they want, except they don't like each other. And that is, it's been 5 books. Mm-hmm. They're not smart. They're not accomplishing anything. Yeah. They're not working towards anything. They are just, when Egwene was in the camp, they were forces to stall our characters' actions. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, they're bland and they're underwritten, but so are most of the women in the series. But at least they're there to stall Egwene, and I get why, like, Egwene needs to overcome them. Mm-hmm. But when you take Egwene out of the picture, the problem now with all of the Aes Sedai in this camp is that because their only purpose was to stall and infuriate Egwene, once Egwene is removed, this whole chapter I was like, oh, these women don't have anything. There's nothing here. There's no character here. Ramonda,
they just want more power.
Ramonda does not want old novices, but there's no reason why other than she doesn't like the idea of it.
Yeah,
but
she's
also
just stuck in her ways.
But that makes me be like, but this character isn't thinking. These women can channel. What do you do with... You can't just not do anything with them. They can channel.
Yeah.
And so she's like, oh, I want to get rid of them. And I'm like, they're going to live for hundreds of years. What are you talking about? Like, yes, this woman is 65. Cadsuane is 300. Like, if you don't get...
Who is 65?
Fucking, what's her face? Shira, the other person who's involved. The novice who's telling the mistress of novices...
Oh, the grandmother.
The grandmother. She's like 65.
Yeah.
But she could live for another 250 years. Like, in a world where characters live for hundreds of years, the idea that they would be like, we got to get him in the first 18 is so silly to me. Because that's a third of, or 3% of their life.
Yeah.
Like, the idea that they're going to let thousands of women, because they have found, 1,000 women go because they're 26.
Yeah.
When they're going to live to be 300.
Yeah.
Is just this, like, it makes this character, Ramonda, feel like she has no brain in her head. But then we're told she's the political power of a political party that has no political aspirations.
It reminds me of several heads of politics that we're not going to talk about right now.
I in like real life?
Yeah, I think that a lot of politicians literally just will do and say whatever they want because they're trying to gain more power.
But I can understand what their goal is.
And Ramonda wants more power.
But in real life, right? If a politician is doing it for more power, they're doing it for money, right?
Okay.
So generally, it's for money. What does Ramonda get out of having more power? If the Aes Sedai collapses.
At that point, yeah, it does matter.
And this is the problem. If we were in the White Tower and the White Tower was whole, I would agree with you. But there is a legitimate goal here of taking over the White Tower.
But they are so fucking up their own asses that they cannot put anything aside to fight for, like, I hesitate to use the greater good because it's been, fucking... But you know what I mean? Like, for humanity, for everybody. Like, yes, they're fucking old, cranky politicians who will do whatever they want for personal gain and fuck everybody else. That's exactly what they are. I know. They're not meant to be likable.
But it's not even about liking them.
But
it's just about we've spent 5 books with them, and they don't seem to.
We've never had their perspective.
They don't seem to have any.
Yeah, well, we had Lelaine very, very briefly.
This chapter pointed out to me why this is a big like indicator of why this series doesn't work for me right now, and it's because none of these characters, especially the side characters, have immediate goals that they're actually working towards. Everyone is stuck. Crossroads of Twilight set them down in the mud, and nobody can move because Ramonda doesn't have any goals in this chapter. She's a character who goes from conversation to conversation and learns things, but she does not have a goal in any of those conversations. She's not actively pursuing anything. And so from a writing perspective, she is for the reader to be told information without interacting with it.
Yeah, I think it's not very interesting, but I think it's realistic. Like
I think it's very unrealistic.
No, there are people who like go about their lives and they waffle. Like there are people who like are just like, yeah, I want to be more powerful. Like they're like shitty to get there. And they don't actually have, like, hard and fast goals that are, and, like, plans that are, like, set out. Like, there are tons of people who live their lives with no direction.
You do not become the Speaker of the House without direction.
Sure, but she's been that for so long.
If she was a farm wife in the middle of fucking nowhere, I would maybe agree with you.
But here's the thing.
She's too involved in she is a hundreds-of-year-old woman who is too involved in the politics of the day-to-day running of a society of 30,000 soldiers.
She's been there for so long that all she wants to do in her fucking crabby old age is just like give it to Lelaine. Like that's literally it.
That is bad writing.
That is what it reads as.
Oh, sure. That might be what it reads as. That's not realistic, and it's not good writing. Like, you can't just tell me that, oh, no, this character just doesn't want to do things. Like, that to me, that's not a character that you should make an entire chapter a POV from. Right?
I agree, it's not that interesting.
As someone with no goals, I feel attacked.
Michael, thank you for that.
Thank you for that, Michael Kioski.
Super chat.
Berserker says Nerdy does not know how politics work. I have a pretty good idea.
That's not true.
The idea that this idea that politicians are lazy is hilarious to me. They work very hard.
They work very hard to manipulate you.
Yes, but they have a goal. I know why
Sometimes.
the Republicans behave the way that they behave. It's because they're making millions of dollars off of
it. They make money, but they literally will just oppose whatever the Democrats say so that they can oppose whatever the Democrats say, and the Democrats will do the same with the Republicans. They'll be like, Republicans said that? No, fuck them. Even if it had been brought up by someone that they had a respect for, they might actually agree with them.
But both sides but there is a position involved in that. The problem with the Wheel of Time is that it is trying to make a statement about that in politics by only having the opposition part and not setting up what they're opposed over. I don't know what it's been 5 books. Yeah. I don't know what Ramonda and Lelaine are in this scene. Yeah. I don't know what they're opposing each other over.
They just fight about anything.
Lelaine says, hey, my Aja's going to handle the investigation because that's their job. Mm-hmm. So Nassau goes to Ramonda and says, can you tell Lelaine to allow me to investigate? Mm-hmm. But if it's Aja business, we've been told that Ajas handle their own business and you do not you don't participate in other Aja's business. Mm-hmm. So if that is the case, if that is how the Aes Sedai are structured, and that's what we've been told over and over and over again, and Ramonda goes, oh great, yeah, I'll talk to Lelaine and I'll make that happen. How does that work?
Because Egwene wanted it. She was reporting to Egwene, and Egwene is the Amarylline Seat.
But this is still Ramonda. So Ramonda is now, if the Amarylline Seat says so, Aes Sedai are allowed to involve themselves in other Aja's business. Is that the line now?
The Amarylline Seat can do whatever the fuck she wants, basically.
I know, but this is the problem, right? This is where, if you're going to set up a society to function in one way, you can't just throw that away for a scene. And that's what happens here. The function of the Ajas gets thrown away here because Ramonda and Lelaine, who have the same amount of power...
Yeah, here's the thing.
Ramonda can't override Lelaine's Aja.
No, but she's gonna try... Even if she doesn't succeed, she's still gonna fucking try.
No, that's not what she says.
She says, I'll talk to her and I'll make her do it. No.
She says, tell her I said it's fine.
Yeah. Do you think that's gonna go over well?
She seems to think it will.
Of course, she's a cocky old bitch.
And so I'm just frustrated with this because, like, once you take Egwene out of this camp, there are no sides here. There's just fighting because women aren't good at working together. And that's what it seems like these books are about. And I don't enjoy that. I would much rather they had positions and personalities and I could understand why they're fighting rather than what we get here, which is, I'm an old lady and I don't like that old lady. And we're just bitter old ladies.
Here's the thing. I think that it would have been like really interesting to read about these cranky old women who come together because Aes Sedai are being murdered. If they actually like come and work together for it, that would be great. But people don't communicate.
What's frustrating about it to me is that in comparison to the last 2 chapters, Rand shows up and shows political power in a smart way. Cadsuane is there being a pain about it, and I don't like the Cadsuane in that scene. I'm wearing the shirt. But like Rand shows up and he demonstrates his political power and his intelligence. Even though I would like to know why things are happening there, I still feel like he showed up and showed his intelligence there. The next scene, Logain shows up to a group of women who are all terrible, and he shows his political brilliance and intelligence, and like he shows up and does really well, and it's a great scene. And then we cut to another group of terrible women who don't have any intelligence. And I'm like, why are the men so capable and so well-spoken and able to be patient in conversations and able to do all of these things and have personalities and have points of view, but all of the women don't? That's why I'm frustrated. Because it is... Logain and Rand show us that Robert Jordan understands how to write, that a character can, like Logain, can have his own point of view and disagree with Rand, but also work with Rand because he knows that he has to. And he demonstrates through Rand and Logain, two people who are doing the exact same thing, but have different points of view on it, different personalities, and approach those situations differently. But every single woman that we've read in the last three chapters at this point, are all the same level of they don't have really a unique personality, they don't want very much, and they don't seem to accomplish anything politically because they're so busy haranguing other women.
Yeah.
And I'm frustrated because he can clearly write independent human beings, but the women in these scenes aren't getting that same treatment. And it's tiresome. It's like tiresome to read about all these awful women who are just so awful to each other, even though they have every reason in the world to come together. Yeah. They cannot find it in them. But Logain and fucking Rand can.
Yeah.
Right?
Even with a madman screaming in Rand's head.
And
Marina, thank you for that super chat. I recently ended a relationship because my ex has 0 goals in life, and apparently that wasn't very nice. This conversation's cracked me up.
That's fair.
I hope you find someone who you're compatible with, because sometimes you need a partner, you know. I get that. Michael Kioski, thank you for that super chat. Are Ramonda and Lalaine both trying to be the new queen in this ant colony? It's just they want to both have more power and be Amelin, but we're not really privy to more than that. So they're just kind of frustrating to read. But she bruises her hip with a book.
Yeah. She bruises her hip with a book.
We get called to the meeting of the halls.
Yeah.
Lalaine calls a meeting.
Lalaine calls a meeting.
And Ramonda's like, oh, God.
How
I'm not going to hurry.
How dare Lalaine call a meeting, even though I don't know why. Like, because there's information that you need to know. She's literally not hiding information from you. She's trying to share information with you.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, oh no, how dare that woman call you to the hall because really fucking important information came in. How dare she?
They do have,
they're children. They're all fucking children.
I agree. Someone did put the stole on the seat for Egwene. So that was very kind.
Who do you think did it?
Who do I think did it?
Yeah, because they're like, we don't know who did it, but no one's moved it. Who do you think it is?
I don't know. It's probably like Faolain or... Faolain, maybe.
I think Faolain is the answer. Yeah.
Like one of the people... Or maybe Swan did it?
Yeah.
I could see that. But I'd love that just like nobody's like moved it. They're like, oh yeah, right. The Amelin seat is literally kidnapped right now.
Mm-hmm. Did Swan sneak in and do it? Swan's a good option. Mm-hmm. I could see it being Swan.
Yeah.
Swan would have access to the stole, and Swan is also someone who is so invested in the concept of the Amerlin seat persisting. Mm-hmm. I could actually see it being Swan. That's a good point, Seasting.
Yeah. So Lalaine is like, no, we don't need a formal sitting, which I don't really understand what that means. They bring Ashaman, bonded Ashaman into the room.
Maurice!
Yeah.
Has arrived.
Yeah, we get some fascinating information. Well, it's not a lot of information that we didn't already know. But the first thing that they do is test being able to detect the weaves of Sidin.
Yes.
And because before they could only feel after it had been used, now they've figured out a weave to feel it while it's being used. If I understood it correctly, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That doesn't make any sense. But
it's magic.
Okay, but like at what point... My problem with it is that at what point after it's been used can you detect it?
After the weave has come unraveled. After it's no longer a weave. You just detect what's left over.
But then wouldn't you just be able to, but you would still be able to, like, not a lot of weaves are like held, right? They're mostly just used. So I feel like you would just be feeling it. You would be able to resonate it like instantly most of the time.
Apparently not. It's
this
it's magic.
Where the line is in once it's been used is weird, because then does it have to be woven?
Woven. Every weave is woven.
No, but you can hold saidin.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, if someone's just holding on to saidin, no, you can't.
Okay.
Like, unless now you can. Because they say that, oh, you directed it at this Aes Sedai.
Mm-hmm.
So, wait, so can they feel it being held now, or just that, like, while it's being woven?
I don't know. I find the narrative around the resonating. I wish it hadn't. I just wish it had never come up, because it, in hindsight, is very strange to me. Mm-hmm. Like, I wouldn't have a problem with it if it had always existed, but because it comes up so late in the series, there's so many events around the series where I feel like that would have been relevant. That it's like, well, it's added in now and it exists, and so we're just gonna move forward with it existing.
Yeah.
But it's cool. Good for What's-Her-Face for figuring it out. I think that, like,
yeah,
it's cool to see an Aes Sedai that isn't Egwene, Elaine, and Nynaeve figure something new out. Mm-hmm. You know? It is nice to see that, like, the Wonder Girls have inspired other characters in this series to start, like, experimenting on their own. Mm-hmm. And I think that, like, that's natural, right? Like, once someone breaks the taboo of experimentation, you see in real life, right, these, like, floods of new experiments as you get these people being like, oh, yeah, no, like, if that person can do that, I'm going to try too. And, like, we're seeing other characters bringing things to the forefront.
And we see a lot of comparison with, like, the new and the old healing.
Yeah.
That's brought up several times.
Because Armada's like, they can do the new healing? I can't do the new healing, though.
Yeah. And
I'm the best healer in the world.
Yeah, I don't think she's very happy about that. But yeah, Jahar is there. Mm-hmm. And basically they,
Jahar basically explains that they can bond 47 Ashaman.
Yes.
And they're like, why 47? And he's like, well, because 51 Ashaman have bonded Aes Sedai, and 4 Aes Sedai have bonded Ashaman. So it balances the scale.
Even it out a little bit.
102 bonds. That number isn't interesting in any way.
Interesting. There's definitely not 100 companions ever mentioned in this. No, that can't be it. They also find out that the taint is clean. Yeah. And they're like, Jahar, we don't believe you. Is the taint clean, Maurice? And she's like, yeah, no, it's clean. It's clean.
Yeah, the other, I feel like I don't want to bring it up, but, like, it's super weird that he's like, the Ashaman can't say no. That was very strange, and I did not like it. I don't like it because Rand knows what it's like to be bonded against his will. Fair. And so for him to set up a system where all these Ashaman are also going to be bonded against their will, I really struggled with that. I like Rand, and I feel like he should have learned the lesson of what he went through with Alana, and him not is just kind of gross.
I think Rand's got to the point where he's like, I do not give a fuck about individuals. We get to Tarmangaden no matter what. Like, that's kind of where it's, Dusty Wheel,
hey,
hello!
What's up?
How you
the
doing?
Innkeeper is here. Innkeeper, we get to meet you in person in less than a month.
That's crazy. We're talking Knife of Daggers. My favorite dagger is the Knife of the Daggers. Welcome in.
What's up? Yeah, we're like almost done. It's wild. You've arrived at one of my top 5 books, Towers of Midnight. Oh, yeah. I'm very excited for Towers of Midnight.
We're getting close. We're making
it's
progress.
Knife of Daggers, actually.
We're making progress. Yeah, I definitely don't like that Rand is like the Ashaman can't say no.
It is weird because of what he went through.
Yes.
Right? And I think that
maybe, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where Rand can't be controlled by Alana, right?
No.
So it stands to reason Rand would believe that any male who can channel also cannot be controlled by Aes Sedai. Mm-hmm. So it's literally more of like I'm assigning you a, like, business representative that you must work with and not obey.
I would be more interested in it if it was the Ashaman Council and the Aes Sedai Council are going to match people up for the fight.
It's speed dating.
Yeah.
They do a speed dating.
It is specifically that Rand, who has spent books complaining about what Alana did to him, says that the Aes Sedai are going to have the power in that situation to just walk up to any dedicated or the other one and initiate. I can't remember.
Initiate, I think. Yeah. Soldier?
He's just going to walk up to any of those boys and just be allowed to bond them against their will.
Yeah.
And that Rand would be okay with that after what he went through is so... That's what is weird to me.
I don't think Rand is okay. Like I said, I think that his like humanity is shown here to be slipping a little bit because he is desperate to get the world through Tarmangaden. Yeah, Dusty, we're excited to meet you as well. It's going to be super duper fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're excited. I think we're going to be halfway through the Gathering Storm by then. I think.
I forgot, says, might be some kind of sense of fair play. The Aes Sedai didn't get to say no. We're not even going to start a Gathering Storm by Jordan Kahn.
Oh, right.
The Aes Sedai didn't get to say no to being bonded by Ashaman, so the Ashaman don't get to say no either. That's fucking weird. That's like a really, but like,
yeah.
That's a really strange...
An eye for an eye is not my favorite take, but yeah, he might see it that way.
But also like, hey, you attacked them, and so they responded by not killing you, so you're going to get to bond Ashaman, who might not have been involved in that. Because I say so. It is a weird... It's weird.
That's what I mean. I think that Rand is losing it a little bit. Hey, looks like Dusty also... does not like Kenson.
I do not like this character very much. Mega Kwag says, not a loaded question, just don't remember. Do we know Rand is involved in this decision? We do. Because he talks about Narishma being somewhere else doing something for him.
Yeah. Because Cadsuane... Because Rand told Cadsuane, who told Maurice, who was telling Jahar to tell them.
Yeah, and we know that Rand... Like, he has in his point of view, there's a point where Rand is like, Narishma... it's better when he's near me, but I needed him to go do something, and I don't envy the position he's in.
Yeah.
To be among all those Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but it's fucking cool, all right?
Army says it's simple. It's very simple, really. Rand just doesn't see Ashaman as persons. You know what? I agree with that. I agree with that. It's just unfortunate because I like Rand so much, and I want to be on his side, and this is a decision that I think is really gross, and I can't be on his side.
Yeah.
And... he's a tough protagonist. He's a really hard protagonist to get behind. And it's getting harder.
Yeah. It's getting harder the less time we spend with him, which is why I want more time with Rand. I want more Rand, please. Yeah. But then we get a really beautiful moment.
Christian Rep says, I don't remember Rand saying that the Ashaman couldn't say no. That's true. Only Jahar says that. But I'm assuming that Rand agreed to that. I don't think Jahar added that part
decision.
Himself.
Yeah, most likely. Unless he did. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. But we get the moment.
There's a lot of people in chat. I get the idea that Rand is slipping and doesn't see people as people anymore. I understand what you guys are saying. I don't necessarily want to read a series that makes the claim that if the need is great enough, people's consent doesn't matter, because I think that concept is gross. And so when your protagonists are all starting to slide on the importance of consent and freedom, all of them, right? Except Perrin. I'm concerned about what the thematic elements of this story are saying about our society, because that's all stories are. Stories are mirrors held up to the society that we are telling. There's no such thing as fantasy that exists on its own, or science fiction that exists on its own. These are mirrors for us. And if the narrative is Matt is going to slowly become more comfortable with the concept of slavery, and Rand is going to become more comfortable with a lack of consent among his soldiers and the people under him having their consent taken away the way that he was, the thematic meaning of that in terms of the narrative of this story becomes very problematic to me. And we are headed in that direction with too many narratives in this right now, and I'm uncomfortable with it. I do not like the way this story treats individualism, and I don't like the way that this story treats consent, and I don't like the way the story treats rape, and I don't like the way the story treats physical domination and violence, and so which might
come to a head at the end, right? And it might be quite self-aware and self-reflective of it.
I hope so. But you if you're going to have this much of this in the story, you have to, as a writer, end on a purpose for it.
Yes, and I hope that there is a point.
There is this really weird position where Robert Jordan didn't have to write the purpose for everything. Brandon Sanderson does. And so Brandon Sanderson has to tie off and I know that Robert Jordan wrote a lot of that stuff, but at the end of the day, Brandon Sanderson was the last person to touch those books. What the reason for all of this is going to come down to how Brandon Sanderson ends it, and I hope that we get to a place where there was a reason for this, and that these books don't appear to be advocating for, well, these elements of human autonomy only exist insofar as there isn't a greater need, and once we do have a greater need, slavery is actually okay. And I hope we don't go down that road, because I will be very uncomfortable with it.
Yeah. I think that's absolutely valid. It is hard to read at some points, and if there is no purpose for it, I think that will be a bit of a letdown.
And I'm not saying that there isn't a purpose for it. I'm just saying that, like, because the books are so long, and because we've been stuck in this narrative, like, rut for 5 books where we haven't been able to move the plot forward, without plot movement...
We're making some moves right now.
We are right now, yeah. And I think next week we're going to get... I think that book club is going to be very different next week because there's going to be so much resolution.
There's a lot of things that are coming to a head, yeah.
But it has been very hard, especially in the last book, in the first half of this book, to not be able to talk about what the resolution says about the story that we've read, and just be in this, we're in this circle, right? We're going around in a circle about, and I think that maybe if we weren't doing book club, these books would hit me differently, because I wouldn't be stopping every 7 chapters and going, wow, we're really still just digging in on consent.
And I think that a lot of people have a very different experience of these books. Topher, thank you for that super chat. You're in the middle of the darkest section of the books, no spoilers, but these are lessons that our characters need to learn. And that's what I'm hoping for. But I definitely think that, like, reading it piece by piece and having to talk about that individual piece, which is why I know some people don't like the full book recaps. But I actually think... I think that they're very important in linking the story together in larger chunks. Because breaking it up and that's, suffering through is the wrong word, but, like, feeling, like, uncomfortable and talking about these things week to week really highlights them in a way that I think that, I believe that Robert Jordan was meaning to highlight them. But it just, it gets difficult. It gets difficult because it weighs you down. Like, this world is terrible, and I would not want to live in it. And I used to want to. Yeah.
In the first, like, 5 books, I was like, oh, I love this. And that's gone.
Yeah.
Like, all of the women suck.
I wouldn't be friends with anyone except Min, to be honest. But yeah, it is one of those weird things that with the format of book club, we experience everything differently. It's the same thing with our reactions. Same thing with, like, Attack on Titan reactions, right? We have to talk about each small chunk after everything because it's what we enjoy doing. Right? We like talking about it. We like digging deeper. We love theorizing. We love analyzing pieces and then analyzing a larger whole. Whereas for Attack on Titan or for the Wheel of Time books, a lot of people will experience either a book or several books at a time because they pick it up and they binge kind of read through, right? So it really highlights a lot of the differences that we have with characters and the dragging out of certain themes and storylines because we can't just speed through to the resolution, right?
Well, I couldn't speed through either way. Like, the books are too long for speed, but get there eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that I would have more faith in where things were headed if the Matt and Tuon relationship were playing out differently, and we're about to get to that. But
before that, we get a beautiful moment where Jahar is like, Eben Hopwell. Eben Hopwell died to save his Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
The only reason that they made it is because of him and remember him. And it actually, that gave me goosebumps. I was reading that and I was like, oh no. Guys, let's get some nogs in chat. Remember Eben Hopwell.
Good boy.
Yeah. And because of that...
he fought the Forsaken.
He did. And because of that, they figure out who Halima is.
Yes!
Yes! I love it. It made me very happy. Unfortunately, Delana and Halima already pieced out because they figured
because they're not idiots.
Sussed out. Yeah, which fine, okay, whatever. But hey, they figured it out. That makes a difference. that makes a difference.
They did eventually figure it out. Yeah.
Even in the
I don't know. I was
at the
like,
beginning
really,
of this chapter, Ramonda's like, yeah, it's like super weird that they're like pillow friends who just like yell at one another. Like clearly Halima's in charge. I was like, yes, very sus. James Ross, thank you for the super chat. Y'all been climbing out of the dark at a much slower pace than the rest of us. It's very understandable. We always try and be honest first and foremost.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's why you're all here, is because we're just honest about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I appreciate the super chat.
You guys forgot the part where Delana left the meeting early? Yeah, Delana, yeah. She figured it out.
She knew what was coming up. She's like, oh shit.
We're going so long. I'm sorry. I feel like this has been a very long book club, and I already know what the comments on this video are going to be, so we'll speed up, and I'll just...
What?
Nothing.
Okay.
We'll get through it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I feel like I have kind of... I don't know. I am trying to have a conversation about these books that is tough because I want to talk honestly about how I feel about them, but also reading these books in pieces, like there's a reason why it's called the slog.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like maybe we should have structured the show differently for that section. And I don't know. I understand why
we would have had more time to read.
Yeah, maybe. I worry that like my attitude towards these books has made this experience not fun for people, but I also have not enjoyed reading the books in a while. And so I don't know how to, I don't know how to bridge that gap, right? I don't know how to make this fun for the audience. And I'm sorry, I don't know how to like be like, hey, we're going to do a really fun show, but it's about books that I don't think are very good. And about writing that I don't think is very nuanced. And it is really just a lot of words to say very surface things that I don't think are handled very well. And so it's been tough. I think that this show, I understand why people don't like me, and I understand why the comments are as negative about me as they are. But in terms of like writing a series, this has been a very difficult one to talk about because I don't think Robert Jordan had a great handle on the concepts that he wanted to talk about. And he uses them really poorly sometimes in ways that I think are like very problematic.
Yeah.
And
it's unfortunate because he is so good at other things.
And
for
like
sure.
I love those first 6 books, but those first 6 books didn't deal with these issues, right?
Not in the same way, no.
It was shocking when Morghese was raped off screen.
Yeah.
And like now that same thing isn't shocking anymore because it is so constant at this point in these books. Like these books are gross to read at times.
Yeah,
this next chapter we're about to talk about was really like poorly written from one half of it and also gross to read. And I'm really struggling. I feel like I have done a bad job at making the show fun, but I don't know how to have fun and talk about spanking constantly and rape and slavery and like consent and make the show, I don't know. And so I understand why people have commented about the way they have. I've gotten all of the messages. I get it. I have been negative about it, but I've also, I don't know. It's just tough. It's been a wild ride to go on. And, I understand that, like, within the community, I'm in the minority about a lot of stuff, but I think that there's value in structure, and it is the thing that Robert Jordan has none of. Like, there's no structure anymore to these nut books. And
not anymore. There was. Yeah.
There used to be structure, and it used to feel great. And, like, I used to compliment the fuck out of his structure, and once that went away, it takes me hours to read every chapter. And like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this wasn't the like ride all the way through that I think people signed up for at the beginning. And I understand that people have left the show. I get that. But like, you know, we're about to talk about a chapter that has just 40 straight pages of Egwene being spanked over and over and over and over again because the Aes Sedai are too incompetent to come up with a second punishment. And like, Egwene is so good in this chapter. It is a chapter about this girl who is like fucking standing up to the man and crushing it and doing this amazing job. And she, like, everything about Egwene in the chapter is remarkable. And it is all undercut by the fact that the Aes Sedai are so incompetent that it's not even cool that she's winning against them, because of course she's winning against them. They're idiots. They're 200-year-old idiots who are so not creative. They can't even come up with a second way to punish her. They just spank her and 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 spank her. Oh my god, and she's being spanked this way with this, and oh, it's a hairbrush and it's a strap and it's like, I want to love it because what Egwene's doing is so cool, but the antagonists to her are so fucking bad at their job. They're so incompetent that of course she's winning. It's not even hard for her to win because the Aes Sedai perspective, these hundreds of year old women who are supposed to be these great diplomats and great thinkers and librarians and the logic Aja, they're fucking idiots. They're so stupid.
Maybe.
And so it's undercutting these great character beats for a character who has gone from being a character at Fires of Heaven that I said, fuck, never again. I fucking hate her. To being like, oh no, you know what? I'm glad the journey she went on. I like
get why
Egwene.
people love Egwene. Yeah.
And to put her in this chapter where she's crushing it, and to have to mind-numbingly read that the Aes Sedai structure only has one kind of punishment, and it is beating ass, even though it clearly isn't working. You'd think after day 2, they'd be like, hey, maybe we try one other thing.
I was going to say, maybe, and it doesn't necessarily read this way, but maybe some people want her to succeed. And so they don't bother to come up with other punishments. Now, that definitely there are people who don't want her to succeed. Like, some of those reds are, like, fucking awful to her. But, yeah.
Let's go through these. 56, thank you for joining the Nargs.
Welcome to the nerd table.
Mega K-Wags, thank you for joining the Nargs. Your conversation is good. It's important. I think a lot of these conversations haven't happened in the past, Nerdy. I'm still here to the end, buddy. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Tom Jones, thank you for being a Narg for 11 months. Thank you for book club. I get 5 to 8 hours a week entertainment from your channel. You're awesome. We put out a lot.
Thank you. We do.
The man called Lev, thank you for that super chat. Disagreement and criticism can be fun and interesting. Ignore the haters. The problem is it's not hate, right? It's not that people are hating on me. The comments that I understand but also hit me the hardest are the ones that are like, I used to love your show, but like I just can't listen to it anymore. And I'm sorry that you don't like the books, but bye. And like those are the ones that I'm like, I'm sorry that like the show changed when the books did. And I don't know what to do about that. Zetterog, I love the show and we'll be here to the end with you. You bring up a lot of things that many hadn't wanted to talk about with these books. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
You know.
And just Trainer, thank you for joining the Nargs. I'm okay with a 4-hour book club. Not everyone is going to have the same opinion. Nerdy, I respect your opinion. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. I appreciate that.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Nargs.
Althor's Taint. Cool.
Welcome back to the nerd table.
And Dale Hendrickson, do you think RJ's illness affected his writing? I have no idea.
I don't know, and I don't really want to put that on.
The last 5 books have all had the same problem, so.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I honestly think that what may have happened, pure speculation, like, that what happened is, like, Robert Jordan had a vision that he loved, and he just got a little bit lost in the middle. The weight and scope of this story was a lot to juggle efficiently and sufficiently, and he dropped some balls sometimes, you know? Yeah. And that happens. There are writers who like take on monumental tasks like the Wheel of Time, like this world that Robert Jordan came up with. And there's just some middle bits that I think that he fumbled on a little bit, and that happens, you know?
Yeah, it's just tough when I feel like reading the Wheel of Time has been my favorite part of my week for a year and a bit. Mm-hmm. And then at the point where this book club has been my favorite part of my week every week. Mm-hmm. And at the point where the book club changed and where the books kind of got darker and more into a conversation, rather than moving the plot forward, really just like stopping the plot to have these long conversations about rape and consent. And it's been hard to continue to like maintain my favorite thing about the week. The thing that like kind of got me through COVID was this show. And like that changing has been very weird for me because I feel this need to defend women. Like it's so strange. Like after Moiraine left the books, I feel like that was the beginning of the backslide.
That is the point where things get a little not as good. Moiraine was like the glue, and I didn't know it in the moment, but Moiraine held these books together. And yeah, it's super weird that as soon as she left, that it kind of like got a little muddy.
Well, because she was the Aes Sedai that represented an Aes Sedai who was intelligent and could like, oh, this tactic isn't working. Let me try something else. The very human thing of like, fuck, I am not accomplishing my goal. Let me do something else. Moiraine exemplified that. And then once Moiraine left the series, I feel like since then, all of the Aes Sedai characters have had kind of the same personality.
Yes.
Except Egwene, obviously, and Elaine, kind of.
Except, like, our main characters, yes.
And so, like, without Moiraine to make the Aes Sedai feel real, I feel like this structure... Because the White Tower sits at the center of this series in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
And without Moiraine to balance them with reality, the Aes Sedai... I really struggle with what the Aes Sedai are since she left the show, or since she left the books. And... It's noticeable. Like, I understand why Rosamund Pike was so drawn to the character. I love her. I love Moiraine so much, and I miss her so much because she was the actual character. We talk so much about characters who will do anything to accomplish their goals, and she actually did that. Yeah. Like, she actually did anything to accomplish her goals, and that is so interesting.
Yeah.
And since she left, everyone's been so set and forget. Like, everyone's on one path. They're going to accomplish it eventually, but we're going to have to describe every single breastplate on the way there. And I don't know. I think that once we get some resolutions, I'll get out of this funk that I've been in.
Also excited for Moiraine to come back because you know she's going to.
I know.
She's coming back.
The least surprising reintroduction of a character maybe in the history of books.
Nah. It's going to be fucking epic. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I feel like I derailed an already long show to complain that I have been derailing the show, but like...
no, I think it's fair. You know, like we're trying to do a difficult thing and balance like putting on a show but also being honest. You know, we're never gonna like. First of all, lying about liking or disliking someone is way too much fucking work for either of us to do, and I don't have the memory for that, so it ain't gonna happen. James Ross, thank you for the super chat. This club has been a journey, and while there are lows, there will be highs. We'll get to the end together, but it won't always be easy. Book club is going to be the friends we made along the way.
Yeah.
Literally.
He says, you're entitled to your opinion. I think that the Aes Sedai being stupid is purposeful. Adherence to traditions they don't even get equals no growth.
Yeah, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, no, the Aes Sedai I don't think are, like, meant to look competent. But, like, God, it's like, okay, do something else already.
It's too long to spend with them if that's the case, though.
It is a lot.
And the problem is that, like, the women of the wave, the sea folk are the same, and the women of the kin are the same. Like, it's just the wise women Aiel. I don't know where the fuck they've been. I haven't seen them in a while, but I don't know. Can we skip the Egwene chapter? Is there anything in there you want to talk about? Egwene's great. The Aes Sedai suck.
Yeah.
Leda's a fucking idiot.
Egwene is awesome. What Egwene is doing is very intelligent. I find it very funny that she's allowed to talk to Leanne no problems. I think it's because they're hoping they're going to overhear something that's useful.
No, it's the open cells. It's another tradition thing that doesn't make any sense.
Tradition thing, yeah. You know, she's there in comfort. She's a better bed than Egwene does. She's chilling. She's like teaching people like how to do better weaves. You know, she's crushing it.
I like that even Egwene is like, you know what, spankings don't really hurt that much anymore.
I know. She's like, I figured it out. I think the most important thing in this chapter to talk about is the Bianin stuff. You know, she sees Bianin and is like, oh, you fucking betrayed us. And Bianin is like, yeah, I was able to justify in my head that you weren't actually Amerlin anymore. It's like, because at first I was like, oh,
yeah, the Bianin conversation is important because it points out the 3 O's don't mean anything.
Well, yeah, I was like, Bianin is Black Aja. But then it's like, oh no, she just convinced herself that she was in the right, so she was fine. And it's like, oh God, the 3 O's. Which is why I think it's important. And I wonder if the 3 Oaths are going to make it to the end, or if Egwene is going to see that and be like, wow, they're fucking inherent, like they're just flawed.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Thank you, Dusty Wheel. Appreciate you.
Slick Jack says, regarding Aes Sedai, did you really get a degree in musical theater and not be exposed to Fiddler? Slick Jack, I've done Fiddler multiple times. I understand tradition. I just think that, like, the point of Fiddler on the Roof is that in spite of tradition, the people in that family all go their separate ways because they're individuals and they're intelligent human beings who have autonomy.
My thing about my thing about tradition as a reader and coming from my, like, personal standpoint is it's not something I can fucking relate to in the slightest. I have no traditions that mean more than like the health of the people around me. You know what I mean? I don't have traditions. They don't mean anything to me. The emotional well-being and physical well-being of the people in my life is what's most important. I don't care that, you know, someone has a tradition about doing something and it negatively affects people. I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, as a person who comes from no strong cultural traditions or familial traditions, like, reading about tradition is just always weird to me because I'm like, okay, but like, why? Yeah. Someone told you something that therefore must be the be all and end all, and I'm an asshole. I was a little shit as a kid. When people told me something, I'd do the opposite. So tradition is always like a weird thing for me to like read about because I'm like, I cannot relate to it, unfortunately. Like,
I can. I mean, I grew up in, I grew up around Christianity, and I dated a lot of Jewish girls when I was in New York, and I lived with someone who kept kosher. So like, I understand the pull of it. Mm-hmm. I just wish that the traditions of the Aes Sedai had, because they're so politically motivated, I wish their political ideals were laid out, is all. Mm-hmm. I don't mind the tradition element, slowing them down if their political, like, goals made sense. Mm-hmm. But, like...
We don't really spend time on that.
I can't actively invest in any of them right now, and I'm struggling with that because we spend so much time talking about them. Yeah. And they're just...
But the BNN stuff is interesting because BNN convinces herself one thing, and Egwene acts in such a way that, like, BNN feels compelled. BNN is like, I made the wrong choice with the lady here. I fucked up. Egwene should be, like... Because BNN probably arrives in the tower and is like, this place is a mess. It is broken, and Aleda is the worst. Like, she's like, I fucked up. And so having that, like, mistake and that flip within the character is nice because not a lot of characters... Mm-hmm. Change their minds about things, so it's good to see.
Kevin L. Stevenson, thank you for that super chat. Hey, y'all should know by now that we nargs are with you till the end. This is a rough section of the books, even when listening to the series on a yearly basis. Good for you.
Yeah, it's a dark world.
And Joe White, thank you for that super chat. Traditions are the worst good reason to do anything. Some traditions are great. I go to Star Wars Celebration every year. That's a good tradition.
Yeah. Yeah, it's traditions that infringe upon other people. I'm like, I don't understand. I don't get it.
I will say I really appreciated Egwene. I said that she does great things, but I haven't said what they are. Egwene is great in this chapter for a number of reasons. One, she never concedes that she's in the Aes Sedai. Smart move.
Amerlin, yeah.
Amerlin, sorry. Yeah. She never does anything when she's told. Unless she is okay with doing it, which I think is interesting.
She's not overtly, like, she's not playing pranks and being, like, childish about it. She just won't do anything
she's behaving
as, want to do. Yeah.
Well, no, and she says no to things.
Yeah.
I think that, like, the way that she does not make friends with the novices is so smart, and I like the beat at the end where they put honey in her tea and give her a cushion, and she chooses not to use it. Like, there's so much in this chapter around Egwene that is legitimately so good.
Kiss, so good. I understand why y'all like Egwene now. I agree. The weird thing she did with Nynaeve is still fucking weird. But, like, this chapter, I was like, Egwene, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Like, she's, like, the only fucking competent person, and it's awesome.
I would love to see Egwene apologize to Nynaeve for that, and then I would be able to move on from it.
I would love that, too. I don't know if it's going to happen.
An apology in the Wheel of Time?
Yeah. But, it was such a cool chapter because Egwene... Like, humiliation only works if the person being humiliated feels humiliated. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's kind of, like, what this whole section emphasizes, is that, like, Egwene's feelings are valid. And they're reflected... Remember that Aes Sedai who got demoted to accepted, right?
Yeah.
What's her face is like, well, the only reason that actually happened is because she went along with it. She accepted it. The Ajas would have, like, still kept her in there as an Aja, but she took her stuff and moved to the acceptance quarters. Yep. So the only reason it worked is because she let it. And Egwene is like, yes, not going to do that.
Yeah. I really appreciated all of the Egwene stuff in this chapter. I think she's smart, and I think that she is using her cunning in a way that is very clear and motivated, and it's really good when it's about that.
Yeah.
And then when it's about the spankings... Sylviana is not good at her job. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that Egwene doesn't have like a worthy antagonist to make it feel like this is cascading towards a conclusion to be excited about. It just feels inevitable that Egwene wins because, the other side is, they're
The
morons.
White Tower is a mess.
Like, they're just morons.
And everyone hates Eleda. Like, literally, like, Eleda's gonna get brought down, and the people underneath of her are gonna fucking celebrate.
Also, Alviarin wants to help her escape. And,
yeah, because Alviarin is a fucking dark friend.
Yeah, but don't the Dark Friends want Egwene in the tower?
Yeah, I'm sure Alviarin would absolutely love to capture Egwene and hand her over to the fucking Forsaken.
The Forsaken have Egwene right now.
Well, they don't have her.
Yeah, they do. The Black Tower runs the White Tower now.
No, not the Black Tower. You mean the Black Aja.
Sorry, the Black Aja run the White Tower right now with their, like, cells, right? And so I'm confused as to why... it feels like Alviarin is acting not in the interest of the Black Aja right now because I feel like the Black Aja have lost Alviarin because she is so pissed off at how everything played out.
She's
and this
touched
is
by the Dark One. She's fucking losing her shit.
I just don't know why the Dark One would want Egwene to escape. Granted, I don't know why the Dark One wants anything, so it's not worth having at this conversation. The what the plan is for the Black Aja, like, the only time it's ever made sense is when the Endrin took the girls to the Seanchan. Mm-hmm. Since then, I've never really understood why anything's happening with the Dark One.
I think Egwene's death would definitely make things a lot more chaotic, right? Because then the little tower outside would have to fight over who's the new Amyrlin, and that's not going to go well. And it's just going to splinter everybody even further.
Yeah.
Mike, thank you for the super chat.
We are all behind you, Nerdy. Your views are valid. Thank you. I appreciate that. I took the Egwene's chapter as payoff for all the chapters of Aiel training she had in the ways. I agree with that. And, like, that's the side of it that's so good, right?
The wise woman come in clutch.
I'm not, like... guys, I do not blow smoke up this series' ass. When I say it's really good, it's really good. To me. Obviously. Always my opinion. I'm not saying what you should like. But the Egwene stuff in this chapter is... some of my favorite stuff in this whole book so far. I think it is fantastic.
I agree.
It's just a long chapter with a lot of other stuff in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Then we get a moment of the Keeper with Eleda, which is weird. This is such a, like, random thing, but it feels like this part of the book should be part of the last chapter, because then this chapter just switches to another POV. But I thought that it was a little bit strange.
I agree with that. And then the Matt Tuon POV cuts to it again in the next chapter.
Yeah, this chapter was just a couple different POVs. So
it could have just been multiple chapters. I don't know. Yeah, I agree. It was strange.
It was a little bit
They
odd.
don't feel thematically related, so I don't know why they're in the same chapter.
Yeah, but anyways, Eleda is the fucking worst, and Tarna is, like, actually, like, doing her best. She's like, I cannot bring up anything because Eleda would just get her fucking back up and literally refuses to talk about it because she's like, I'm the Amyrlin sheet.
Eleda is becoming, like, full-on umbrage. Like, post this publicly that people are going to be punished.
Yep.
And it just reminded me of the, like, wall of, like, decrees from Harry Potter.
Right, yeah. But yeah, so she knows that Medani is a spy. But Medani also knows that Eleda knows that she is a spy. So this is a weird fucking convoluted circle. And Eleda's like, she wouldn't be with me if she knew that I knew that she was a spy. And I was like...
But because she's spying on me, maybe we'll start sleeping together again?
I know. I was like, what?
Eleda's like, I'm going to punish her by having her eat my pussy.
Yes, yeah.
There are two ways to punish someone in the White Tower. You spank them, or they lap at you with their tongue. It is the two Aes Sedai punishments.
Apparently.
Spanking or cunnilingus.
Yeah.
But
between.
guys, we shouldn't add anything sexual to these books because they are PG.
These books, very pure, very lovely, pristine and unsoiled.
Eleda asks about the seals on the Dark One's prison, which feels good because no one's brought them up in forever and we don't know where they are.
Yeah, hopefully those
When was
are
the
okay.
last time Rand checked in on those?
I don't know, actually. I'm not sure.
Where are they?
Several books. We're hoping that they're still intact. But, like, you could, I don't know, flick them and they would break, so...
I wish the storytelling around those had been very different from the beginning, because they've always just been kind of arbitrary.
Yeah, I don't know what they're...
Sometimes they just break on their own. So, like, I don't know. I wish the seals on the Dark One, I don't know. They're the weirdest MacGuffin in this series in that they've just kind of, like, been around and sometimes they break and...
Yeah.
I'm sure the like last three become very important again at the end. Mm-hmm. But right now, Eleda brought them up and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about those. I I think they're important.
Yeah, they're probably important.
They sound important.
They sound important. But yeah, basically this section is to be like, oh yeah, things with Egwene are going well. I'm sure she's gonna break at some point. And Aleda's like, good. I was like, okay, well, that ain't gonna happen. But Tarna is too much of a fucking scaredy cat to say anything.
Yeah. So we cut over to Matt. Matt is heading with Tuon and the gang. They've left Val and Luca. And they managed to convince Val and Luca to give them pack horses.
Oh, sorry.
For the fire. Yep.
One more thing. Egwene still doesn't know that Rand was kidnapped. And I had
She learns in that chapter.
But she was like, wait, kidnapped? No, that can't. Well, that's
yeah, but by the end of the chapter, she knows about it.
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize that up until this point she had no idea what happened to Rand. And I was like, I hope that I hope that means something. You know, I hope Egwene is like, hey, look, I heard what happened to you, and I'm sorry about it.
Nope, that's not what's going to happen. Egwene is going to be terrible to Rand.
I can dream about it, okay?
Egwene, here's my concern. Here's what I'm worried about with the Egwene storyline. Is that Egwene is going to hear about the Ashaman plan and be like, no, the Aes Sedai should be in control, Rand al'Thor, because I'm the Amyrlin seat now, and that rather than be like, hey, Rand, you and I know each other from youth, we should work together, that they are going to pull a, Egwene tries to domineer over him because she's the Amyrlin seat.
I hope they work together.
Even in that chapter, the only things I don't like about Egwene in that whole chapter are when she's like, Aes Sedai, is her feeling that the Aes Sedai are right, even though she has been shown so many examples that the Aes Sedai are idiots. She is literally in the White Tower experiencing the Aes Sedai's incapability of, functioning.
Yeah.
But she holds to the fact that Aes Sedai righteousness is the correct course. And I don't see a world where this version of Egwene wants to even be equals with Rand.
That. Maybe this changes that.
I fucking hope so, but I'm putting it down now that Egwene and Rand are almost going to be antagonists at some point soon.
I hope not.
And that Rand is going to be like, we just need to fucking do this, and she's going to be like, no, the Aes Sedai know what to do, and he's going to be like, girl, you have been sieging the White Tower for the last 5 books while I have been fucking doing everything else. I have killed Forsaken. I have fought Forsaken. I have done every other fucking thing while you walked across Mirindy. I hope your feet are okay. I hope you had a good walk. I know your ass hurts. I'm sorry about that, but you need to come on to team. We're fighting Tarmangaden now.
Yeah.
I don't care about the Aes Sedai.
I'm really hoping for that, yeah.
I hope for it, but I don't think that's going to happen. I feel like Egwene is already starting to be like, I'm the greatest Amyrlin seat ever, and I'm going to tell the Dragon Reborn what to do. And I was like, I'm nervous. I'm nervous about it.
I think that seeing that Aleda tried that, and Egwene thinking that's not the way to go about it, I'm hopeful that she will make different decisions.
I hope you're right, but I am desperate for you to be right.
Yeah.
You have no idea how much I want you to be right. I just, based on how the books have gone so far,
I'm gonna hold to it.
Don't have a lot of faith in that.
I'm gonna hold to it. Irazu, thank you for the super chat.
Yeah. Still haven't totally caught up, but I had to say that you're not alone in your opinions, Ernie, and the show is still fun for me. And what I look forward to most week to week. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm excited for the show to come back. I think season 2 of The Wheel of Time is going to be good for me.
I'm excited to watch season 1 again.
Yeah.
Honestly,
yeah.
I'm excited to watch it and talk about it with you guys. Because I know I'm going to have a completely different perspective on it. And I'm very, very excited. I'm
frustrated that Rand and Egwene don't just go talk in Teleran Riad and plan together. They are the 2 most powerful people in this world right now.
Rand doesn't use Teleran Riad because he's too scared.
Yes, he does.
No, he shields his dreams.
But you can shield your dreams and use Teleran Riad. Rand has spied on Egwene in Teleran Riad before. We've seen him do it.
Yeah, I guess.
We know that Rand can go there. I just wish that him and Egwene would just... I just wish him and Egwene would just go to fucking the 2 rivers in Teleran Riad and sit at the fucking Beltane field once a week and just be like, hey, we're fighting the devil together. You control the White Tower. I control 5 countries. Let's just have a chat and plan this out.
They probably should talk, yeah.
Oh my god, it would be so lovely.
It would be. The problem is Egwene can't be like, hey Rand, we should talk because Rand shields his dreams. It has to be Rand that does it, I think.
That's fair.
So, we'll see. But yeah, we get Matt. Matt's army is back. Matt's got the band back together.
Bethaman is being spanked because there's always a woman being spanked. Don't worry. This POV has one too, but we're going to move past it. And Emethir almost gets bitten by a snake. And Matt is like, don't kill the snake because reasons.
Yes,
and Tuon is like,
wow,
oh my God, that's so hot.
I'm so wet.
He didn't kill the snake. Kiss me, Matt. And Matt's like, what? Okay. And she's like, no, kiss me like you fucking mean it.
She's like, kiss me. He's like that. And she's like, wow, am I your sister or something?
And then he's like, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, oh my God.
She's like, oh wow.
Kisses are amazing. And I was like, I fucking hate these two so much.
Yeah.
I hate Tuon.
But she's also like, oh, you have a fever. You're sick. I was like, well, maybe he just really liked the kiss, but I'm glad that you can tell.
Yeah. So...
no, it's definitely a fever.
Talmains rides up.
Yeah.
Gilmer, thank you for joining the Nargs. Characters talking to each other in this series? No.
Never.
Talmains is here now.
Never.
So if you were wondering where the Band of the Red Hand is, they are here.
They're
now,
here.
In the woods in Seanchan territory, where it totally makes sense for them to just appear.
I don't know. He kind of explains it. Rand is like, wait, why the fuck are you here? And he explains it.
Matt
is like, why are you here?
Yeah, what's his explanation? You're the one who's saying he explains it, so please explain to me. Give me the explanation for why Talmains, why Vanin, while checking a road known only to thieves and murderers, ran into Talmains, a nobleman who is leading a bunch of men from the other side of the continent.
Taviran. They were working with what's-his-face. They made a bunch of money, and they went to go see Matt.
Yep. Yep. They rode through the pass that only the people who knew it was there, the one that takes years to find a way through. They rode through that because magic.
They only there's only one pass, which sucks.
Yeah, it's fine. This is one of the most convenient Taviran moments where you're like, sure.
Yeah.
They found their way through the pass that even Vanin is like, if you don't know the exact route, you will get lost in there forever.
That was fucked up. I was like, oh my God. Well, I guess we're fucked. But no, Taviran.
I wouldn't have minded it so much if it wasn't Vanin being like, it is impossible to find your way through those mountains if you don't know the exact path. It'll take me at least a year to find a new one. But Talmains is like, I don't know, we just kind of did it. Okay.
Sure. But I love that Matt's like, oh no, I don't have enough money to pay these people. And Talmains is like, yeah, don't worry about that. We got it. Yeah,
we're also rich now.
We're also rich. The coffers are good for like a year.
We also have new crossbow loaders. Like Talmains.
Yes.
You know what? I wouldn't mind if Talmains had showed up. If it wasn't like Talmains showed up and also had solutions to all of his problems.
This crossbow mechanism. Look at this that
we can fire 7 crossbow bolts a minute now. Like
it's literally Taviran. Like it is literally that. Like
him showing up is one thing. Mm-hmm. Him showing up with the solution to all of the possible problems just is where it goes too far for me in terms of convenience.
I thought it was funny.
It's funny. But like
yeah.
But now they have crazy crossbows.
Crazy fucking crossbows that Tuon is like, I have to get my hands on one of those immediately.
Yeah.
Also the maps, I need to burn that, but crossbows as well.
Yeah, so it's fine. It is convenient, and it allows us to finally get out of this fucking plot line, so I'm fine with it, right?
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
Honestly,
it's just fun.
I will take the Deus Ex Machina to get out of the fucking plot line.
Yeah.
Because this plotline sucks.
It's not like these crossbow bolts come from nowhere, right? It is a little bit like crazy that they just happen to run into the one dude who has them. But, he's inventing things because Rand is setting up universities. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But that's also Taviran, because Rand is Taviran.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Why the fuck don't I get to be surprise rich? Right?
Yeah.
Right? That would be nice.
God, I feel like we should have, rather than following Perrin and Matt, we should have just followed Talmains. It sounds like he was actually doing and this is part of the problem with this series, right? Some of these chapters, the POV chapters, are so fucking boring, and then a character rides in and is like, we just worked with a king to overthrow this entire country through meticulous conceit. We invented new crossbow technology, and we became rich. And I'm like, why the fuck are we with Elaine talking about fucking weevils when we could could have been with Talmain's and the Band of the Red Hand fighting a secret fake war across Altara. That sounds so fucking cool. But instead we're over here with Perrin being like, I don't know. I guess I'm going to tie another strip in this leather cord because I don't have anything to do today.
Okay, they have plans at least. They're working towards something now.
They yes, after 3 books they are. But Talmain's was out doing some really cool shit that I would love to have been with. That sounds fun. Like, there is fun shit going on in this world. We're just not with them. We're with fucking Perrin and his sad boy watching of the fucking Shido. And, like, Talmain's is out here having a goddamn plot. We're with Matt. Literally, we're with Matt riding with the circus so that we can watch him and the slave girl, the slaver, fall in love inexplicably for the worst fucking reasons ever. And Talmain's is off being a goddamn hero on a fucking mission.
He wasn't, he just, like... His army stood there intimidating for the King Roadrun or whatever. They didn't actually, like, do anything. They were just there to be scary. Dusty, farewell.
Dusty, thank you for being here.
We'll catch you later.
We'll see you later.
I don't know if it was really that interesting. He just happened to run into all the things that Matt needs for this moment because it's Matt's superpower.
I just half expect someone to ride up to Matt and be like, we found this box in the ground and it has laser guns. Like, at this point, why not?
I bet you Matt is going to be the person who finds the flying thing that the helmet
The
goes
showing?
with. The showing. Yeah. It's going to be Matt.
Yeah.
Matt is going to find a showing, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, all the Forsaken are looking for these caches of Terangrials and shit. Matt just needs to be going around like a fucking metal detector at this point. Like,
I also love that not only has Talmain's found all of this stuff, Talmain's has increased the size of the army by like 5-fold. Like, Matt now has access. Talmain's rides up and is like, hey, dude, I have better weapons. I have more money. And I also have 25,000 men ready to follow you. You ready to go back to being relevant to these books again? And I'm like, thank God. You know what? I'll take it.
Let's do it.
It is Deus Ex Machina as fuck, and I will take it, because thank God we're going to get away from Tuon. Hopefully.
I hope so.
Probably not.
I hope so. Anyways.
I also, Tuon is like, wait, are you actually, like, good at things?
Yeah.
Like,
oh, you're not just an idiot. That's cool, I guess.
Chapter 26, if the world were fog.
Ta'Veren Ex Machina. Yeah.
Ta'Veren Ex Machina, yes.
It's fun.
Yeah, honestly, super into Talmain's. He's a great character. I just wish we spent more time with him. Tuon and Selusha are kind of have their own hand talk.
Yes.
This is a world where there are more sign languages than there are actual languages.
No, there's not two. No. Because you've got the ancient tongue or whatever the fuck it's called, and you've got English, I guess. And then you have Maiden Hand Talk and the Royal one.
Okay.
So I guess it's two.
There are as many sign languages as there are languages.
Yeah.
Yeah. I shouldn't say that. Actual language is dismissive. Sign language is an actual language. I don't want to pretend that.
There's
like,
two verbal.
I don't want to be dismissive of sign language. It is an incredible thing, and like.
Yeah. There's the same amount of physical languages as there are verbal languages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just interesting that, like, yeah.
Well, and two that we know about, honestly, like the way that Tuon talks about it, there might be like a bunch in the Seanchan.
No, but but the Aiel, don't the Stone Dogs have their own, like, there's maiden hand talk, but then don't the like different steps of the have their own hand talk?
Do they? I
think so.
I don't remember.
It just goes back to that conversation where I was like, oh yeah, how does language work in this world? Because the language doesn't really seem to make sense to me. The fact that there is an old tongue that's like 1,000 years old, but the Seanchan left when they had the old tongue, and then the Seanchan came back and speak the same language. Like, the fact that 2 continents developed the same language from the old tongue is very odd. Yeah, right?
Yeah,
that's a very weird thing about this world that I can't wrap my head around.
Yeah.
We hang out with Tuon. Matt is a fucking bamf. Matt comes up with all these great plans in front of her. Matt does all of these really cool things.
And Tuon still insists on calling him Toy.
Yeah. But also, like, Tuon is like, oh, shit. Like, I was here because the prophecy said I had to be, which means that she has heard a prophecy that we haven't heard.
Yes.
And I would like to know what that prophecy is.
We know that she has prophecies. We're just not privy to exactly what they are. Yeah.
But this whole chapter is so hard to read because on the one hand, watching Tuon acknowledge the great things about Matt is nice.
Yes.
And on the other hand, Tuon is fucking terrible, and I don't like that this series feels like it is actually heading to them being together.
Yeah.
And that is what they both want now. Like, we've split into this weird place of, like, on like all of the, like, Tuon being interested in Matt's accomplishments, if it was another character, would feel great. Yeah. But because it's Tuon, it's gross.
Mm-hmm. I hate her.
Yeah.
Like, every time she thinks about him as toy in her head, I'm like, you are a fucking asshole. And I don't know if that's ever gonna change for me, unless, she actually becomes a half decent human at some point in the series, which she might. The prophecy of the 9 moons and all of that, them being together, might be what actually changes Seanchan culture and Shandar. Like I am hopeful that Tuon realizes the wrongs, maybe? Like, even Matt referring Perrin. Perrin later on is like, none of us here are property.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, that's, like, such a foreign thing for the Seanchan. And I just...
Thank God for Perrin.
Thank God. Yeah. Kevin, thank you for the super chat. Hand talk has come between all Aiel. The means expanded it. So the hands have the fan language. That's fair. And the hand signals the Seanchan nobles use. That is totally fair. Yeah.
Christian Rapper says that's the point. You aren't supposed to like her, but our main character is falling in love with her. Like, here's the problem. If you're gonna have a main character like Matt, who's supposed to be likable, I want to be able to relate to his position in the books. And his position right now is falling for a character who I'm like, why? Like, even in this chapter, someone, who is it that talks to Tuon and is like, yeah, he doesn't like nobles. The boys. And I'm like, the books know why they shouldn't like Tuon. She's fucking terrible. And... Yeah, like literally, like, Matt has no reason to like her except that she's prophesied to be his wife. There isn't anything about his character that should be into her. Mm-hmm. In fact, he should be antagonistic to her. And the books are just skimming over that to allow this character whose only interest is slavery to be relevant to our main character. It's weird.
Yeah.
And I've seen some stuff online this week because I was like looking around online at like stuff about Wheel of Time, and there are people who are like, "Oh my God, Matt and Tuon are so cute together." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Her idea of a fun afternoon is perpetuating slavery.
And maybe by the end of the series, that won't be the case. Like, maybe there is like a shift in the character now, but like at this point in it, I'm like, God, I hate this person so much.
Well, and people are like, well, no, she was just raised in a culture that has slavery, but that's not who she is. She's not like
it's her culture, like, favorite thing.
It's that is her like idea of a fun Sunday.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like she's like, oh, I love baseball, and like, yes, there's slavery where I come from, but like, that's just a necessary part of life. If that was her point of view, it would be different, right? Because you'd be having a conversation about like, oh, like, she's from a culture where slavery happens and so it's normalized for her, is very different than Matt going, hey, what do you like to do? Like, what do you enjoy? And her response is, oh, I like to put collars on women and parade them around my garden in the nude.
Non-consensually.
I like to.
If it was consensual.
I like to have naked slaves feed me grapes in my chaise lounge, and I'm like, it's not that she's like a member of the Seanchan. It is that she is like, oh no, that part of my culture.
It
that's
brings
my
me joy.
Favorite thing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
If all I could do for the rest of my life is break slaves, that's what I do. That's literally what her point of view is, and so there's nothing redeemable in that.
It's not. Here's the thing. It's not even like her favorite thing is like hanging out with the domain because she gets to use the one power and feel that addiction to it. Her favorite thing is training them.
Yeah.
Like training them and like breaking them. It's a very specific thing that is really fucked up. Yeah. Like, I get it. You're like, oh, I like hanging out with my domain and channeling with them. No. Her favorite thing is to fucking make sure that they're miserable and that they obey her no matter what.
Hussein says, I sometimes wonder how Nerdy read A Song of Ice and Fire. None of this is in A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, no, yeah.
A Song of Ice and Fire, if you want actual political intrigue in fantasy, go read that. Like, George R. R. Martin writes, actually writes character point of view into their political dialogue. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've seen Game of Thrones or if you've read A Song of Ice and Fire, but one of the main plots is that the Khaleesi undoes slavery because it's a bad thing.
Yes.
And look, it's very white savory. I'll agree with that. Like, it's not perfect, but it's a pretty important narrative that the character takes her army to Slaver's Bay and frees the slaves.
Yeah.
She doesn't go marry a slaver and go, you know what? Like, it's so hot that you love slavery. I think I'm not going to try and stop you from being a slaver. I'm going to get on board. Like, it's so different.
Yeah. It's very clearly, like, bad in this, and Tuon just loves it, and
she loves it so much.
Anyways, I hate Tuon, but moving on.
She adores it. But Mad is great. And so it's tough, right?
Mad is awesome.
Much like the Egwene chapter, where Egwene is awesome, but like the other side of it is weird because the Aes Sedai just are so incompetent. Mm-hmm. We kind of get a similar thing here where Mad is so awesome in this chapter.
Mad is fantastic, and he's so rad.
And it's ruined by like this character. Mm-hmm. Tuon is just it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's fucking awful to have to read, and I'm so tired of her.
Yeah.
And the fact that much like Cadsuane, she's so one note. Like she doesn't have much else going on. She doesn't seem to care about the Seanchan all that much. She's not like
no, that's not true. She's like, I have to steal the crossbow bolts and I have to burn the map to make sure that we can conquer. You know, like that's...
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
This is also the only POV
She's not
really got.
Overly sad that they murder thousands of Seanchan in these chapters, though. She doesn't
give a shit.
She doesn't have like and she doesn't have any emotional response to 2,000 Seanchan being wiped out before her eyes. There's no. She's like, all right, well, that was a thing that happened. I'm gonna keep moving on. Like I would have liked it more if she had gone to Matt and been like, try and go around, please don't kill my people. Or just to have any sort of like emotional relation to the scene that's happening around her. Yeah. But she just watches it completely disaffected.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, if she doesn't care, I don't care.
Yeah.
Why should I?
Yeah, but then we get some Perrin, which is nice. Perrin's like, hey, Wolves, Snowy Dawn, you ready for takeoff? And they're like, 2 days. Mm-hmm. Let us fucking sleep. Jesus Christ, leave us alone. Like, stop being so impatient. And he's like, okay, fine. No, you're right. And in this section, they go and they taint the water. They go make some fork root tea.
And then they go in it. I was very confused.
I am not really sure why.
The geography of what's going on. Maybe someone in chat can help.
Yeah, I'm a little confused at this point.
Aqueduct? Like a sewer system?
I don't...
Because it sounds like they fit a few dozen people inside of the aqueduct.
Yeah.
With the water. So the water would be dirty. I'm just like that. I really enjoyed this scene. I thought it was really good.
I just had a really hard time visualizing what was actually happening. Yeah.
And so while they were climbing into the aqueduct, I didn't understand what was happening. Because clearly the plan is that they're going to bust through the aqueduct. Gaul and like that team is going to bust through the aqueduct into the city during the attack. They're going to get to Fael first.
Okay, yeah. There's a large pipe that is bringing the water from the lake to the town.
Yes, and so Perrin is Perrin is being hyper aware of not tipping off that this is happening.
Uh-huh.
But like how big is this pipe? That there's like 40 people inside of it right now chilling for 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. It is one of those things where I'm like, it's not something that I can visualize because it's like very like foreign to me. Like I'm like, I don't know what this looks like.
Yeah.
But yeah, they send the Forkroot tea and some people to go to go.
I did love that even Perrin is like, I hope this steeps in time.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I don't know if this is going to work at all.
Well, no, and he, like, tested it to make sure it didn't float all the way, that it sinks at some point.
Yeah, so that it doesn't, like, come out, so that the actual, like, tea doesn't come out the pipe.
Yeah. It, like, stays in the bottom. That was very funny. I was like, okay, big brain stuff.
I also, I'm like, are they sleeping in the pipe? Because the plan is to take place in 2 days after the tea has had enough time to steep.
Yes, they're...
So Gaul and them are going to be standing in a pipe for days?
Just 2.
That's a long time to be inside of a pipe.
I think they're going to sneak into the town that's there. Right? Because the pipe goes into the abandoned town where the Shido come and, like, get the water from. So I guess they don't have to actually, like, stay in the actual pipe. They're just going to have to be very careful.
Oh, so nobody's watching the exit of the pipe?
Not unless they're, like, getting water from there, I guess.
Okay. Okay, yeah, sure. Sure.
I don't know.
I really liked this scene a lot. I thought all the character interactions were fantastic. Perrin's plot, despite being terrible for a long time, is actually the one in this book that feels like it is moving at like a well-structured pace through this book. I feel like the Perrin stuff has actually been great. I thought these scenes were great. I just the weird like this once they got to them climbing the pipe, I got a little confused by it. Just honestly, that doesn't make it bad. I was very like, wait, what? But won't they be seen coming out of the pipe? But maybe not.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't seem like there's guards. It just seems like Gaishan go and grab water fairly often. So,
okay. Sure. But yeah, no, Perrin has some really great conversations with people, and including like an interesting conversation with Berlain, talking about how their relationship has changed. And I'm hoping we get some POV from her about why that happened.
Yeah.
Like, she has done a complete 180, and I don't know why. I also don't know why they haven't told anyone that they didn't have sex.
Well, Berlain probably wants people to think that, but yeah, I don't know why Perrin is... he thinks that he's, like, above it, so because he hasn't said anything against it, people think that he fucked Berlain, and I think that's strange.
Yeah, so I understand why that hasn't been revealed yet. I just hope that when it is revealed, I understand why they allowed this rumor to persist for so long, because it seems like it would harm Berlain's reputation, too. Like, it's not just his reputation that gets hurt.
I think Berlain's people like her, and...
Well, no, people look at her like she's a hussy. Like there are people in their camp who are, like, giving that energy to her.
Yeah, but not her people.
But I just don't see what the benefit is in this for any... I just don't see why anyone wins in this situation.
I don't know. It
doesn't seem like it helps anyone. Yeah. It just hurts Perrin, and he's in charge. So, yeah, I'm curious. Darren Mook, thank you for that super chat.
Thank you for the super chat.
I thought the Perrin stuff was great. Is not something I expected to hear at this point in the series. He's the only character in this book.
It's moving and it's good.
Has an end goal, and every chapter with him is at least headed towards it, right? Yeah. Like, they set up the idea of the fork root tea. I think it's silly. Like, I think the amount of tea you would need, like, all that, I think it's a little bit silly. But every single time we're with Perrin, at least we are headed towards that goal. His is the only plot in this book that isn't kind of either bouncing around randomly like Rand's, or just kind of like meandering through like everything else. Like everything else is just kind of like directionless. Egwene is hoping that her plan works, but she doesn't have like an end goal for it. Egwene being sneaky in the tower could go on for another 3 books. Whereas like Perrin's is like has an end goal.
Yeah.
And I'm excited because I'm like, oh, there is actually like a point where this ends in 2 days. Like, you know, and I'm assuming that 2 days is going to be the same as the 1 week, and Elaine's, in the end of this book, Elaine's city is going to be attacked at the same time that Perrin attacks the Shido.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Like, that 1 week is going to happen at the same, and so, but this is Perrin is the only major plotline in this book that has, like, direction.
Yeah, it feels like it's actually moving towards a thing that I can understand, so...
And a little bit Matt this week. I feel like Matt kind of has a direction, but his is just to get out of a plot line. Yeah. Like, it's not even to end that plot line. Yeah. It's just to get out of a plot line. Matt's end goal right now is just to not be doing this anymore.
Yes.
And so, and Elaine's is waiting for something to happen, and Rand is about to go fight the Forsaken again, kind of. But Perrin has had a setup... has had a beginning, middle, and end in this book. And I actually, I do like it. I don't like the plotline overall. I think the Shido have been this, like, march into misery for my brain that has been driving me up a fucking wall. But in Knife of Dreams, it is the most consistently pointed plotline of all of them.
Yeah, that's fair. We also find out that that Galad and his 7,000 white cloaks are...
oh, yeah.
marching around.
They're just doing shit.
And
they're chilling.
Balwer's like, I think I owe this Galad my life. And Perrin is like, oh, interesting. I thought he hated the White Cloak, so I guess he just hated Valda.
Yeah.
It's like, no, Valda is the worst.
I think that Balwer might be the one to negotiate the treaty between Rand and Galad. I'm getting the vibe that Balwer is going to be a linchpin between the White Cloaks and the Aes Sedai working together in the future.
Yeah.
Because he seems to be a middle ground between those positions. Balwer, great character. Like, consistently throughout the whole thing. Balwer
Fantastic.
But there is not a bad moment for Balwer in this whole series. Like, really. He's fucking awesome. I wish we had more of him, honestly, because he's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we get the weird Ripley thing.
Seasting says, glad it's heading to an end, but his goal is short-sighted and gross. Give Seanchan 400 magic slaves to save wife. Yes. No, agree with that. I don't think that's going to happen. Or at least I hope that doesn't happen. I hope he's lying to the Seanchan about it.
Well, I don't know if he's lying.
If he's not, and he gives 400 domain to the Seanchan, Perrin has fucked up royally, and that will be a very sad ending to this. I'm kind of hoping that he's going to turn on the Seanchan at some point in this, but...
I don't know about, like, turning on the Seanchan. It's weird, right? Because on one hand, the Shido are the fucking worst.
But on the other hand, the Seanchan are the fucking worst.
Yeah. So it's just... Yeah. Like, I'm like... For the Shido, like, going around and killing and, like, raiding and all that stuff, is that worth being, like, enslaved? Is the punishment... Is the punishment too far that they get enslaved by the Seanchan? And I think that's kind of how Perrin views it, is he's like, well, the Shido did bad things, so they can be collared up.
Don't like that.
I don't love it either. But that's what I mean. I think that this whole concept, I think there's a reason that it's so prevalent in all of our character storylines. I think it's going to come to a head, and I think that there will be a commentary on it.
Yasmin says he rationalized it as tomorrow's problem as per his conversation with Grady. I think that rationalization, though, was that it is something he is going to deal with, not something that he's just going to not deal with. I'm hoping. If he is just going to let them be enslaved again, fight... Because then it makes his conversation of, like, we're not slaves here with the Seanchan feel very hollow. And I actually like that moment a lot. I like him standing up to the Seanchan, even in working with them and being like, our people are free. And so if his... when he says tomorrow's problem, I mean literally tomorrow's problem. If he... Yeah. I don't know. If this ends with Perrin letting... Like, if it ends with a conversation where he's like, oh, yeah, no, take them into slavery, that's fine. Next week will be a very interesting conversation.
Yep.
Fuck! No! That wasn't even in my head, but now I'm so worried. You guys this series is fucking ruining my brain. Like, this series is breaking me. I can't...
I think it comes together. It comes to... there's reasons for it. I believe.
I don't know how you do any of this on the TV show, but...
On the TV show? God, I have no idea.
All right, final chapter.
Not Gowl. Raoul? No. Roland.
No more talk of darkness.
That's literally...
Forget these wide-eyed fears. Yeah. I'm here.
Roland is like, hey, let's play a kissing game. And Fael's like, ooh, that sounds dangerous, but also sexy, but also Perrin.
Roland is a fuck boy.
Yeah.
What a pathetic little fuck boy. Oh my god.
He's shooting his shot, that's for sure.
Fuck you, Roland, you piece of shit. Don't pressure women like this. It's gross. It's really fucking gross. I hope he dies painfully. Only because he's fictional. If he was real, like, I wouldn't want him to die painfully. But he's a fictional character. I can want him to die.
Like, I think we're supposed to have sympathy for him because he kind of, like, saves Fael from, like, freezing out that one night. But he only does it because he wants to fuck her.
And because she's nude and he gets to lie on top of her naked body.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Roland's the worst. Although, Roland is also stopping her from being raped constantly, so...
Very confusing.
This series is fucking weird. When people were like, oh no, this isn't as grimdark as, like, Game of Thrones, I was like, oh, okay, this might be pleasant.
Oh, okay.
What the fuck? This is so much worse than Game of Thrones. This series is so much worse than A Song of Ice and Fire in terms of how it handles things. Game of Thrones has bad moments of, like, no consent and stuff like that, but it isn't as, like, just constant and pervasive as this.
I only read the first 2 books, but yeah, it definitely doesn't feel... Well, but then that's the thing. I only read the first 2 books, but in the first 6 books of this series, it's not the case either. It's just further into it, so...
There are pointed moments where consent... Where A Song of Ice and Fire uses lack of consent in a way that I don't always think is great for female character development. Like, I agree with that. but it is like, you know where those moments are in those books because they aren't everywhere. Yeah. Whereas in this, it's more just that like the world doesn't care about consent. And so it's just kind of constant.
Yeah.
Like, especially around the spanking, right? Like the spanking in this. And I think that one of the big differences is that when you read it in A Song of Ice and Fire, you're like, oh, this is horrible. And the characters in the book go, this is horrible. And the perspective of our main character is, this is horrible.
This is horrible.
Holy shit, how bad this is. And then in Wheel of Time, I think what is so gross about it to me is the characters are like, this is okay. This is how it should be.
Yeah.
And like you have this series tries to rationalize awful things in a way that I don't understand why. I don't see the value in it. Yeah.
Well, we'll see how it all comes together. In the end. Purple Aja, thank you coming back for 2 months as an ARG.
Game of Thrones is grimdark on purpose. Wheel of Time doesn't realize it is. Yes.
Kinda, yeah.
Game of Thrones has a perspective on its grimdarkness, and Wheel of Time thinks that, like, male rape is funny. And, like, that is a big difference. There's gross, awful things that happen in Game of Thrones. None of them are comedy beats.
Yes, that's fair.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, like, I think that might be the difference for me.
Yeah. Oh, did you not let her know that we're talking at...
We're talking at 2:30.
Oh. She just said, hope to speak to you. Did you respond to it?
Oh, I did not.
You did not. Oh, okay.
Cool. We'll do that later.
Let her know. Okay.
Okay, then you talk.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, welcome back to the nerd table. Yeah, anyways, Galena knows that the rod is missing. Obviously, they've all been punished. And for some reason, Galena is wearing, like, what is it, like a red flower on her head or something? She's finally allowed to wear clothes again, which is really good for her, I guess. Here's the thing, Galena sucks, so I don't really, like, empathize with her as well. She's a terrible human being, and I hate her.
Yeah.
And she's also planning on killing Fael. So Fael's like, yeah, I'm going to bring the rod. We're going to meet. And they're going to go meet in the fucking city where Perrin's people are about to come out of the fucking aqueduct. And everyone's going to, like, pass out from the water. So this is all going to come to a head all at one time.
Yep.
Which I think will happen in this book. I believe that's going to get resolved in this one. So we get to the last chapter. A plain wooden box.
Rand goes to Rand goes to talk to the Seanchan. Not Seanchan, Semirhage.
Surprise, it's Semirhage. And the only reason that they don't all die is because Cadsuane and Nynaeve are already holding the power with all their Tuon.
And the boys are too. All of them are.
Yes. Yeah.
So Rand, there's like, I guess someone has a ward up against magic, maybe, that Semirhage can't see.
What?
What? Semirhage is walking out of the house.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're riding up, right?
Yeah.
They're all holding the power except Rand because he throws up. So they're walking up, and then Semirhage... Oh, no, they do. They have their shit inverted and not able to be seen because Rand doesn't have goosebumps when the girls are holding the thing. Okay, so then they ride up, and then Semirhage walks through a ward that, like, makes her Mirror of the Mists form shift. Rand sees Semirage's face, goes, hey, it's Semirhage. Mm-hmm. She blasts him. She starts blasting, he falls, and then when he gets up, it's over.
Well, he loses a hand.
Well, yeah, no, but like the fight,
he doesn't get to participate in the fight.
I wish this POV had been from anyone else's perspective.
That's
so
fair.
We could have seen it happen.
We missed everything.
We missed the Rand like fun bit because Rand is like, well,
yeah.
What happened? Oh, we beat another Forsaken? Great.
Yeah, Semirhage has one of Min's daggers in her. And is like standing there pinned with her she's bound with the flows of air.
Yeah.
And there's some dead Damane and Soldams and stuff or whatever. But the other ones are like, no, this is the High Lady. And they're like, no, it's Semirhage. And they're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Min is best girl.
Yeah, I think that this would have been fun to see from an outside perspective so that we could have seen it play out instead of like Rand reached for the power and then suddenly was on the ground and then suddenly he looked up and Semirhage was captured. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's cool what happens. Like,
well, because the loose theron of it all is the reason that Rand isn't able to fucking help, right? He can't sees the power reliably. He feels sick when he does. Like, Rand is fucked. They're gonna have to do something about this, but I don't know what that means.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's cool. Like,
because we find out in this section that, like, Semiraj tells them that Rand is hearing Lews Therin's voice.
And that he's real. We get a reveal.
He is
big reveal.
Real.
Yeah.
He is real, apparently. But that
I don't know what
doesn't,
that means.
That doesn't mean
but
he's not going to go mad.
But apparently Graendal has successfully merged personalities in the past with real people.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. It's cool. It's a cool concept. I don't know why Graendal would do that. Graendal seems mostly interested in sex, but apparently Graendal is also a therapist. And like a really good one?
Well, I don't know about that. I thought Graendal's whole thing is purposefully making people go mad. I thought it was just that she understood the concept better than Semiraj
No,
did.
Graendal in the past would merge people's memories with their past lives.
I thought that was a failure.
No. She says sometimes she would fail, but she was the only person who could do it. She
was a therapist.
She was a psychologist. Yeah. I just think it's so funny to think of like Graendal being like, the concept of this character being able to merge your personalities in your head when one of them is literally a person you used to be is like so heady for me.
Yeah. Which I don't think is going to work. I still hold to my idea that Olivia is going to kill Lews Therin without killing Rand.
I think it is going to happen. I think either Lews Therin, I think that what's going to happen is the multiple women bonded in his head. Something about having all of those bonds in his head is going to be able to like separate Lews and him. Like maybe Alana and Lews Therin become a thing, and like the three girls and Rand become a thing, and like they separate by the bond. Like I feel like the bonds are going to save Rand, is what I'm saying. I think something about the bonding.
56, thank you for the
56,
super chat.
thank you for the super chat.
Have fun at work.
I think something about the bonding of four women is going to save Rand's brain. Because there's going to be anchors in his head for his personalities to stay connected to. Does that make sense? Maybe I'm making it up, but...
No, I that's as like solid a theory as any, to be honest. We don't we don't really know how they're going to do it.
Michael Kielski, I fucking hate you.
Rand's got a cut loose.
A foot loose. Kick off your Sunday shoes. Please, Graendal, teach me how to merge my personality with myself from the past life. All right.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, this was fun. Rand is now partially blind, and Rand has lost a hand because in the Wheel of Time, Rand takes grievous injuries to defeat Forsaken.
To save Min.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, historically, this is how this happens. They always beat the Forsaken, but Rand takes on some, like, forever injury.
Yeah.
He has two in his side. Like, Rand is just, like... I'm excited to see what Rand looks like at the end of this series. Mm-hmm. Before he dies, obviously. I think he is going to die. But he's going to just be, like, the before and the after. Mm-hmm. This is expensive, too. Having a green screen out his hand and all those shots is going to be expensive for the show.
Yeah.
So they probably won't do it.
Yeah, that's fair. This is one of the things people thought we'd get spoiled on at Jordan Con. But if someone cosplayed Rand
before Jordan Con.
Sure, but I don't know if people like, it's hard to remember where things happen, right? So people are like, oh, you might get spoiled on it. Yeah. Yeah, I
don't know. This was cool. I wish we could have seen it happen. It would have been I think a little bit more fun from another perspective. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they defeated another Forsaken because I don't really know what her plan was.
Her plan?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I don't know how she thought she was going to get the Adam on them.
Why?
What do you mean? Why? I don't know how she thought she was going to accomplish that.
All the Soldam are like highly trained in putting those collars on, like Selucia or whatever her face is.
Yeah.
Collars 3 women in 0.7 seconds. She does some fucking parkour and is like ching ching ching.
Yeah, Semiraj's plan just I understand like that the goal was to put Adams on the men, but they only had Adams for the men. Maybe they just weren't mentioned, but they also had Adams for Nynaeve and Cadsuane. But, like, I don't know at what point in the conversation they would have been like, oh, yeah, you guys can come get close to us.
Well,
it was going to be a
get
tense
close.
negotiation, right?
Yeah. You basically get them in the house, you shield them all, and collar them. You know, I don't think that Semiraj had
and just
obviously
hope
didn't know
that you
about
can overpower them.
Well, but here's the thing.
Semiraj
If
is
Semiraj is
brilliant, but she's not the most powerful.
If Nynaeve and Cadsuane, they literally say if we weren't already holding the power, then we would have all been probably dead. Like
1,000%. Yeah.
So it literally hinged on them already having embraced the Source.
But why would you assume they weren't?
Well, because I think you said they inverted it so that. Like, I'm assuming Semiraj doesn't realize...
Semiraj is running with she doesn't know that they know how to invert the weaves. Okay, yeah.
Semiraj is like, nah, I'm the best. I got this, right? Like,
yeah.
And so, Nynaeve, we know, is, like, the most powerful channeler pretty much ever, except for Olivia.
Yeah,
So they've got Olivia and Nynaeve, like, most powerful ever. They have Cadsuane, who has a lot of battle experience. You know, Semiraj just severely underestimated her opponent. That's basically what happened. No,
you're right. That actually makes sense. It is, yeah. But you would think that Semiraj, I think that it's just Semiraj is dumb, but that's not, the problem is like, she just underestimated them is like how the Forsaken always go. And like, that's a little bit uninteresting.
Same thing happened to Moghedien with Nynaeve, right?
I know, but the problem, the reason why it's not interesting to me now is like, we've done it once before, 7 books ago.
I feel like every single one of the Forsaken is going to make that mistake once.
Yeah, it's fine. it is fine. And like, I do like, I like the idea of them having her kidnapped. I would kill her immediately. Like, there's no way I would let that woman live if she's literally... If Lews Therin in Renhead is like, this is the woman who is the best at escaping prison ever.
Yeah, I would just kill her, honestly.
This is a woman who is literally the greatest prison escape person. She is so good at escaping prison that usually the person who get her out of the prison are the guards. I would just be like, I'm going to kill that woman right now.
Yeah, I would personally. We'll see if they do.
Maybe Semiraj is the person who teaches Cadsuane to, like, not think that she's the fucking greatest shit ever. And maybe we get some character development for Cadsuane.
I doubt that.
So what you're saying is Cadsuane sucks?
No. I'm not saying that. And then the end of this chapter is Matt absolutely annihilating a bunch of people with cannons.
With crossbows.
Oh, I thought it was the cannons because they exploded.
No.
And limbs went flying everywhere.
They don't have cannons yet.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure they
need a bell founder.
No, I'm pretty sure they threw fireworks into a group of men and they exploded limbs everywhere.
What?
Yeah. Where does it happen?
No, Teslin shoots a fireball to light the scene, and then the crossbowmen start firing. There's no bombs. Teslin lights up the area, and then 2,000 crossbow bolts go off at the same time. There's no explosions.
Yeah, there is. They have, like Chat's saying, they have grenades.
They don't have grenades.
They literally explode like 1,000 men.
They have grenadiers. No, they shoot fucking crossbows.
No, they explode.
Yes, because 2,000 crossbows go off at the same time. They get torn to shreds, but there's no cannons.
No. Okay, suddenly a ball of red light was floating high above the ground. Yes, bathing the soldiers in an unearthly glow. They had a heartbeat to gape along the line. 1,000 crossbow strings gave it sound with a loud snap, and thousands of bolts streaked into formation, punching through blessed plates, knocking men off their feet, blah, blah, blah. None struck squarely, but that hardly mattered. Oh, I guess it's just crossbows. Well, the light made it sound like I thought things were exploding.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, no. Don't read chat. Chat is apparently spoiling things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's just crossbow bolts.
The light confused me. I thought that there was like an explosion.
Well, but you said cannons, and I was like, they haven't met the bell founder yet.
Yeah,
so,
no, that's fair.
Yeah, don't read chat. It's spoils.
Okay.
Spoil city up in this bitch.
Yeah, so they annihilate, I don't know, like 1,000 men with some crossbow bolts, and it's pretty wild. It's pretty fucking wild.
There you go. Under 3 hours. We did it again. Another podcast down.
Did we? Oh, yeah. We had 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're
It
right.
was a great action sequence for Matt. Tuon is the worst, but at least she's like doesn't even care about Seanchan herself. So like that's nice.
Yeah.
Do you want to do high-low?
First things first. Next chapter 28, is Fail.
Rodberry, it is spoilers if we haven't read it yet.
It's not in that chapter, no.
Yeah, no, there's just...
I just read it.
There's just crossbow bolts.
It's just crossbow bolts.
I read it at like 2 o'clock in the morning. No, it's cool. It's a good moment for Matt. I honestly, if it wasn't for Tuon, Matt would still be very interesting to me. Tuon has just like absolutely like drained any interest I have in Matt at this point. And
I know, because he's awesome. Like,
don't know what
is
to do about
one
it.
of my favorite characters ever.
Yeah, I don't know what to do about it, and I'm nervous that I just am like not gonna like one of my favorite characters for the rest of the books, and that sucks.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Or Brandon Sanderson comes in and fixes it and writes Matt better. You know what I mean? Or not writes Matt better, because it's not that Robert Jordan's writing Matt poorly. It's that Tuon, his relationship with Tuon is like inexcusable to me. It doesn't make sense for the character. It is just prophesied, and so Matt is forced to like her.
It's literally Matt gaslighting himself into liking her.
Into liking a woman whose favorite thing is slavery. Like it is as bad, and she's also the black character in the series who just loves slavery, and like that's weird and uncomfortable. And she calls him toy. And, like, she won that game, and so he stopped calling her precious because he realized, like, hey, like, I'm going to stop this because it isn't...
It's a weird game.
And she's still calling him toy because she's the worst. And, like, I just want to like this character again because there was a point he came back, I was like, oh, the books are better when Matt's in them. Like, I said that on this podcast.
No, I remember.
And that has been taken away from me by this, like, very, very weird slavery subplot that is so unnecessary.
It's not my favorite, but I am hopeful that there is a reason for it and that it all comes together.
Yeah.
High-low?
Sure.
Yeah.
Friends, this is much like my childhood dinner table. We celebrate each other's highs, commiserate over each other's lows, because that's how you stay together as a family. We start with Clarous's high, then my low, her low, my high. We compliment, sandwich this, bish. Clarous! 7 chapters of Knife of Daggers. What is your high?
My high, in a general sense, was Egwene. Obviously, like, the chapter, I think that the Aes Sedai being so incompetent, like, kind of sucks. But Egwene, being a fucking badass, and her having this moment with Beanin, and those, like, the seeds that she's planting are fantastic. So that's definitely my high, was Egwene in this section. 100%.
Agreed.
Yeah, what was your low?
Tough. Honestly, the other half of the Egwene chapter. Like that, because the Egwene stuff is so good that I wanted the Aes Sedai to be more competent antagonists, and they're so dumb that it undermines how great the Egwene stuff is, and that was really unfortunate to me. And so, like, that was my low, was reading this chapter where I'm like, oh, Egwene is being so rad against the most easily defeated enemies in the fucking world. Like, and yeah, that to me.
That's fair. I think my low is not feeling affected by the Aemar mass suicide.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I feel badly, but I had no emotional connection to it. And it was just kind of like, oh, wow, like, that sucks. Which was unfortunate. So I think that that's my low. I really wish that I had cared about it more, but it just... I felt like Egwene, and I was like, it doesn't matter. On to Tarmangaden.
Yeah. Yeah. What's my high?
There's been good moments.
Yeah, it's tough. There's a few, right? Like, I really like. We didn't talk about it. I'll make this my high because we didn't talk about it at all. I like that Min is not taking a back seat with Rand, but is pushing him to allow her to be a part of more than just the relationship, and is being like, Min is being the advisor that Rand thinks Cadsuane is trying to be. And like I think that without Min, Rand's behavior would be too erratic, and she's a really important grounding force in all of those scenes. I wish that Cadsuane was taking a little bit more of that role, but Min's presence in general and being like, no, I'm coming, and the fact that when Semiraj is standing there shielded, Min's dagger is standing out of her. Like Min is not.
Min.
Yeah, just Min. Honestly, in all of this has been.
There's
One of
no
the
Dragon
few
Reborn
lights in the
without Min.
series for me the last few books.
Yeah.
And so I really do love Min here. And it is a shame that Rand loses a hand and his eyesight to protect her when that blast is coming his way, and that he doesn't dodge it to save her. And I hope that she appreciates what he did for her there. But I hope we get some time about that and about how important she's so important that like it is worth losing a hand and having to relearn how to fight with a sword because of how important she is to him.
Yeah.
But her she is the advisor Rand actually needs, and I really enjoy her, and I love her as a character.
Yeah.
And I think that her personality is just awesome. I also just like that, like, she doesn't try to be anybody else. Like, she still has her unique sense of fashion, and she's so intent on just continuing to be herself in this series.
Yep.
But is also willing to work with different people and approach. She is kind of what Moiraine was to me. And so, like, every week throughout the whole slog, we would be like, oh God, like this is tough, not enjoying this, but not Min. Min's great.
Min has always been wonderful.
And like that's never changed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just really into that. I enjoy that character, and she was the highlight of the week for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's valid.
Yeah.
We love Min.
We love Min.
Yeah.
And I love men. If you like this video, like and subscribe to the channel. If you don't, that's fine. Hit the dislike button. Leave the same comments down below you've been leaving for like 5 months. Thank
you for acknowledging the algorithm goddess and feeding her appropriately.
Oh man, if you want to come back next week, don't. We're canceling the book club. This is the end.
That's a lie.
This has been a fun journey, but
we're not. No, I'm making it to the end of this book.
Clarus will be reading with somebody else next week. They'll be more attractive than me and probably smarter and probably better for everybody. This is my last day as a member of Nerdy Nightly. I'm leaving the company.
Just moving to New Zealand without me.
No, I'm moving to Indianapolis to be a fisherman on the White River.
All right.
Can you imagine if we actually were just like, you know what? Next week we're going to be starting a new book club about Dune. This was it.
No. I have invested too much. I need to see this series to the end. I gotta.
Can you imagine if we DNF'd?
DNF?
Did not finish. That's what like book talk people say when they don't finish a book. Can you imagine if we DNF'd?
Not in this economy.
Nerdy puts the One Ring on and vanishes. I pull a Bilbo Baggins and never come back.
I like less than half your half as well as you deserve.
No, I'm fucking kidding. We'll be back next week with the end of this book. Hopefully it's great.
I'm getting David Harbour to step in for you next week.
Yeah. I'm excited for when Brandon Sanderson takes over and there's less spanking. I really am. I think that if I can stop having to put the book down because I'm rolling my eyes so hard that my brain hurts, I will enjoy the reading more. But I stop and start so much because I get so frustrated right now.
Yeah.
And ever since I promised chat that I would read every word, reading this has become a lot harder for me. Mm-hmm. And I actually feel like getting through Crossroads of Twilight was a little bit easier because I skimmed when like the descriptions started to get really bland. And like Knife of now that I'm going back to actually reading every description of everything in these books, I am so like that beginning of that Seafolk chapter, reading about all of the boats. I was like, I want to burn
so many boats.
Every copy of this book to the ground.
It's like fucking Becky from How I Met Your Mother. Boats, boats, boats. And I was like, ah!
Yeah. And well, we didn't talk about this with the Seafolk. I didn't really understand a lot of what they were saying.
Mm-hmm. No, me neither.
I was like,
interesting.
Reading it over and over. And I'm dyslexic. So like the Seafolk chapter was extra frustrating for me because I felt like I just was... I thought I was just having dyslexic moments and that I'd read the words wrong.
But no, they're actually words that we like are not familiar with.
There's one where it's like, what was it? He's going to have to kiss the Deathmaster's sister. And I was like, I don't know what that means. I couldn't even tell if it was good or bad. I was so confused by that one sentence that I asked you, I was like, do you know what the sentence means? You're like, no. And I was like, okay, so I did read it
I think it's some kind of like, not euphemism, but an analogy, allegory, whatever you call it.
Yeah, and so I think that, like, I actually might have enjoyed reading Crossroads of Twilight a little bit more because I skimmed more. Mm-hmm. And now that I have promised, because people were so upset when I said that I skimmed, I promise I'm reading every word. It makes the books worse.
It's many words, yeah.
Well, and they're not important.
There's a lot of, it's not important words.
Like, when Rand goes to fucking Tyr, there's like 9 people he describes in that room, and then he talks to 3 of them. And the only people he talks to in that scene are the ones we've already met before. All of the new characters that are described never come up in the conversation. They never say anything. They don't have so like he literally just describes clothing on mannequins and then turns to Darlin and has a conversation with Darlin after like talking with after describing the full outfit of these 3 people who aren't relevant to the scene.
Yeah. Chad is saying just go back to skimming.
He will literally describe a character that walks out of the room and is never seen again. He's like, yes, she had the embroidery on her thing was a pink flower and then a yellow flower and then a red flower in succession up her sleeve. There were 7 slashes of colors down her chest and then she left the room. And you're like, why did we learn that? Why, Robert?
Don't forget, she probably has an S name.
Why, Robert?
Do we have a smut corner, or did we already insert that earlier in the book? Wow. It's gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay.
We got some pages where some stuff is gonna happen, and then we've got some Sanderson to enjoy. So.
People like go back to skimming. Y'all, people canceled hundreds of dollars in Patreon support. Literally, like the blowback to finding out that I was skimming cost us like hundreds of dollars a month. I'm not joking. Like there was someone who was pledged at like a $50 a month tier on our Patreon who canceled a $50 a month Patreon tier just because I didn't read every word. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, well.
If the people and like those are the people who actually like, you know, are the people who are supporting the show financially, I think are the people who love it the most. Maybe that's the wrong way to take it. I shouldn't say that. What I mean is that like if the people who like us enough to give us money for nothing because the content is free, get that upset, maybe I'm doing it wrong. But I want to make those people happy because if they love it that much, if they love it enough that they're like, oh no, I'm going to support this financially. I don't want those people to feel like put off by the show. And I don't know. Content is a weird job, y'all. I'm very conflicted about everything.
Look, here's the thing. People take in content differently. Art is subjective. All of that. Like. And
I also know that like there are plenty of people who aren't in a financial position to, and I don't want to be like the people who give us money are like better fans or something like that. That's not what I'm saying. But when I can't read every comment on every YouTube video because we get like 4,500 comments a week, right? So I don't read a lot of those comments, but I do read every exit survey on Patreon.
Yeah.
And so when those exit surveys all come back with nerdy sucks, nerdies, and like those, and maybe the exit survey is the wrong place because those people are stopping to support us, and reading why people are stopping supporting us is always going to be negative because why would anyone stop supporting us for a positive reason? Maybe I've like done this to myself. But when those people are like, fuck you for not reading every word, I go, okay, well then I'll read every word. And then I read every word and I'm like, why am I doing this? This is boring as fuck.
I just want to say before, Kevin, thank you for the super chat. Skimming gives you more to pick up on later rereads. That's fair, honestly. I love having the opportunity to read a book more than once because I like seeing what I missed out on.
100%.
But
and look, again, this is free content. I don't want anyone to expect anything or to like, you know, other than Blue. We expect Blue to give us money every week, but other than Blue, this is free content, and the intention is for it to be free. It is just that, like, you know, if people do sign up for the Patreon,
Blue,
I do try and give their comments. I do try and read their comments because they've paid for that, right? Like I want to respect that.
Sure. Blue, thank you for gifting 10
Blue
membership.
Dude, we do love you, Blue.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's very kind. enjoy those emotes. Enjoy your nargs, friends. And thank you for being here. Thank you for those gifted blue. But James Ross, thank you as well for the super chat.
James Ross, thank you. Here's my contribution. Love you guys. Thank you. And I'm not trying to say this to get people to give us money. I appreciate all of the super chats and all of the blue memberships. I'm not trying to say that at all. If you've never given us a dime, I don't want you to think that there's like a hierarchy of fan. I'm just being honest about the fact that it is easier for me to consume the Patreon comments than it is for me to consume everything else. Because it's so, guys, we're in such a fortunate place where it is so much. Like, I don't think I can begin to tell you how many notifications come in every 5 seconds. And you can't turn off emails for Patreon comments. You can turn off everything else from Patreon, but every time somebody comments on a Patreon post, we get an email about it, and I can't turn it off. There's no setting to turn that off. And so, I can't begin to explain to you, I would love to read every single comment because I appreciate everybody who interacts with us, whether it's positive or negative.
Yep.
I just can't. At this point, it's impossible.
Yeah, we're doing our best. I promise.
Melinda Craft, thank you for that super chat.
Thank you for that super chat. We appreciate it.
Arezu Keshvapur, I quit the Patreon because I wanted to send more super chats and couldn't excuse doing both.
You know what?
That's very sweet of you.
That works
Thank
for
you.
us. Thank you.
That is very sweet. I appreciate
We appreciate
that.
it.
Michael Kioski says, I need the full Expanse reactions. Expanse, Season 2, Episode 1 reaction goes up today. We show off our own Rocinante in that. So that's fun. Go check that out at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
This makes me want to bump my Patreon up to 50. Do not. We don't need money, guys.
You guys, you
I feel like this came off wrong. I wasn't trying to say that I wanted people to give me more money. I was just trying to be honest about the fact that those are the things I read more because there's fewer of them.
Well, and they pop up. Like you said, they're on your phone.
L Gauge, you guys are fucking... Should I cancel my Patreon sub so I can write something nice in the next message? This was not the goal of what I was saying.
Yeah. Cancels it so that you can compliment
God.
Nerdy.
But then come back. Because we're going to start doing... there's going to be more stuff on the Patreon soon.
What?
Yeah.
I'm... What?
There's going to be more stuff on the Patreon soon.
Oh, okay.
Well, we have some things coming up.
Do we?
Yes.
Oh, like the later things.
The later things. But but the patrons are going to be a part of the planning and stuff for that.
Oh, yeah. You're going to find out what that is on Nerdy's birthday.
Should we do an announcement for the members and the patrons?
Oh,
should they find out the day before?
We could do a members-only stream, but...
On Thursday? And then do a patrons-only stream? Do it twice?
I don't know if... I don't...
Okay. Y'all, on my birthday, we're announcing a big project.
Very big, cool, exciting, big thing.
Yes. So we're going to be live on this show. It's going to be the first episode of Gathering Storm on this show. And then I'm going to be live on my YouTube all day playing Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Next week is going to be the last week of new reading for a month on this show. Yes,
because unfortunately we are gone for Star Wars Celebration, and then we are gone for Jordan Con, which we unfortunately do not have a panel for.
James Ross, thank you for that super chat.
James Ross, thank you so much. It's a good little ship.
Michael Kioski likes the way I say Rocinante.
Nicholas Reed as well, thank you for that super
Nicholas Reed, thank you for that super chat.
Do you have a preference of Patreon versus YouTube? If we can only do one, do you get a different cut?
Guys, I don't need you to give us money. I feel like this has come off so wrong, and that wasn't what I was trying to say. Don't do whatever you want. If you want the full-length reactions, go to Patreon. That's all that's there. If you want anything else,
they're very similar, luckily, so it's not...
The goal is that there is going to be more members only and Patreon only stuff moving forward. But none of it will stay members only and Patreon only forever. The goal is, with some of the content that we have coming up, there's going to be stuff that is patrons and members first, and then goes public later. The full reactions are going to stay Patreon only because there's not really a way for us to do that on YouTube. That makes sense. But because people would have to, I don't want all those videos on this channel, so people would have to be members to a second channel. It just doesn't work. Yeah. So we are going to stay away from, but yeah, no, we're there's gonna be a lot of gaming stuff coming up. Not video gaming, but a lot of tabletop gaming stuff coming up that's going to go to patrons and members first. Joe Berlin says, when is my birthday? April 28th. It'll be the start of Gathering Storm. Sorry, you were in the middle. I'm sorry, I was to answer your question. You were in the middle.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
The schedule for the rest of them for the next month.
Yes. 1 second. Angela has given us a wonderful super chat. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you, Angela.
Any chance you'll be doing Shadow and Bone TV show when your current shows are done? Probably not. So Shadow and Bone season 1, we had fun watching, but neither of us loved it. And so I don't think we're super interested in doing a season 2. If that changes, I'll let you know.
Shadow and Bone tried to mix 2 book series together into one TV show in a way that harmed both of the narratives from those books. And so we didn't love the way the season played out, season 1.
Yeah, not my favorite. So I'm not sure. I do not believe that we will be covering it, unfortunately.
Even though everyone on it is very attractive.
Yes, it's like by Panic.
If you want to hear Clarissa's thoughts on season 1, that video is live on our channel. There is a video about season 1 on the channel with her and Chaotic Neutral Goblin.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we do not have a panel for Jordan Con. They let us know that they weren't really doing like book podcasts, but that,
for us.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jordan Con.
So they did say that we could find a spot in the lobby and do something. So we might do that. We will let you guys know. Don't
tell Jordan Con, but we might go ham and make it all about us. We might be very...
No, we're not going to make it all about us.
I'm kidding.
But we do want to try and do something with y'all there because we're really excited to go. We're excited to meet a lot of you. We're excited to talk about the books. So we're going to figure out what that is. But yeah, we're going to finish this reading. And then we're doing a week off because we're in Star Wars Celebration. And then the following week, we are doing the full book recap of this. And then there is another week off while we're at Jordan Con.
Yes.
So we'll figure out what that week is going to be.
Also, the full book recap week for this is going to be... let's just pull up the dates really quick here so everyone has them.
It's the week after... No, sorry.
Oh, no, that's not Google Calendar.
Next week... Last segment of this.
Yeah.
The following week is a Star Wars Celebration.
So there will be a book club, but it will be for Jedi Battle Scars by Sam Eggs.
Yes. And then the following week, which is the 14th.
April 14th. The plan for this show on April 14th, y'all, is we're going to do a full book recap and also cover the Strike at Shia Ghul and Ravens. So all of the stories that Robert Jordan solely wrote. Ravens, Strike at Shia Ghul, and the full book recap for Knife of Daggers will be April 14th. That way we get all of Robert Jordan's stuff done before Jordan Con. Mm-hmm. And then on the April 28th, on my birthday, we're going to come back with the first week of Gathering Storm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Strike at Shia Ghul and Ravens are going to be on April 14th because it's the 1 week between Star Wars Celebration and we can't do it in London. It just wouldn't work because we... have a panel that day.
Yeah. Literally on the Friday.
And then Jordan Con, we're not going to do a book club. I don't think we don't want to like do a book club at Jordan Con.
It won't be like a book club, but I think we're going to try and do something. So.
AOT is going to stay at 4 episodes a week, Baka Karn.
Yes.
We're like way ahead on that, and we're going to keep getting ahead because of all of our travel so that those keep going up on schedule. Mm-hmm. Because we've already seen half of season 3. No, we've seen we've seen half of the first half of season 3. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Because the first chunk of season 3 is 12 episodes and we've seen 6.
Oh, okay.
So we're significantly ahead of the YouTube videos because we have to get ahead because April's so crazy that we want to have everything filmed weeks in advance for that so that it can go up.
Yeah. Y'all, thank you for an amazing book club. Thank you for sticking around.
Yeah, this was fun.
This is, I think, our longest one. So we're going to...
I think trolls will be intimidated by how giant Nerdy is. I think the trolls will be intimidated by the people who surround us to keep us from getting spoiled. You know what I mean? I feel like we've already had a couple of people be like, yeah, we'll hang out and make sure that you're not spoiled. So
yeah. Come hang out with us, guys. It's going to be fun. We're really looking forward to it. We'll post everything in the Discord so that it's clear, so that it's not just verbal spewed to you at the end of this book club. Everything will be in the Discord. Hell yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, y'all. I'm sorry. I feel like we had some pretty open and honest conversations today, and that was nice. And I hope that you were down for that. I just want people to know, as a final thought before we leave today, I'm not hate reading, and I'm not making the show to hate on it. I deeply, deeply, deeply want to love these books.
And you have loved many of them.
I have, right?
Yeah.
I am pained by the fact that I'm not enjoying them as much as I want to. And so I'm sorry if at any point the show has come across as me shitting on something that you love and me trying to convince you not to love it. I am trying to convince myself to love it. And this show has really, for a lot of the slog, honestly, and I understand why people feel this way, the negativity is not coming from me enjoying hating, but rather this has been a place for me to try and work through why this thing that I did love for 6 books so much has become something that I'm struggling with so much. And I understand that it is selfish of me to be using this as a way to talk through my own feelings, but I don't know how to do this show in any other way. And so I'm so deeply hopeful that we can, that as we continue through the end of this book and into the final books, I will go back to finding that real love for the Wheel of Time that I had. Because, you know, I feel like I'm almost nostalgic for a year ago, and I'm chasing how deeply moved and joyful the weeks were because of both the Wheel of Time, but also because of this community and because of this book club. And I'm chasing that feeling, you know, like an addict, you know, chasing the dragon, because it was the best of my week. And I've communicated this with Clarus, and maybe not so much on book club, but I have been struggling with the fact that I am not enjoying it because I deeply want people to love this live stream each week. And that struggle has been not my favorite. Yeah. Just because I feel like selfish in my lack of enjoyment. And I just want to be honest about that. This has never been about me trying to convince you not to love it if you love it. Mm-hmm. And if it has veered in that direction because I have been unable to process my emotions the best at times, I just want to apologize to anyone who's felt that way. Because I never want that. I never want people to feel like my criticism of art and of writing is directed personally at any person other than Robert Jordan, who I'm going to fight in heaven one day.
You're not going to heaven, please.
I don't think Robert Jordan went to heaven either. I don't think that you can write about spanking this much and be 100% straight. And apparently only 100% straight people go to heaven. So
a shame, really.
Yeah. So I hope that nobody feels like this has ever been pointed. And when we get spicy, I just it's been a ride. It's had some very high highs and some honestly low lows. But I joke about quitting. I would never. I want to finish this so bad. I want to know, even if I hate the ending. I just want to know. And so we'll be here next week with the end of Knife of Daggers.
Yeah. 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 Thanks, y'all. We appreciate you always.
Thank you.
Especially now, but always.
3.5 hour show. Let's go.
Crushed it.
All right. Yeah. Do something nerdy tonight.
Bye, guys.